you, everyone. You're doing great.
I don't know how to present my screen. Why is this like, it's only showing you guys in this tiny bubble? Oh, I'm still presenting my screen.
You're still presenting it. So you're doing
Okay,
great.
everything's fine. Okay.
The problem's already solved. Yes. We just need to be rolling live. We're on live.
And did you enable, Kat, the monitoring for me?
I don't know what that means.
The chat in YouTube?
If you are logged into YouTube under Third Eye Salon, you're gonna be the real deal. So let me go and get the link. And actually, I guess I need to get the link. Hey, everybody, I'm sure there's people already watching live.
There are.
I'm sure there are because we are live now. So bear with us. We'll be getting everything moving here in a second. Just 1 minute.
I see it now.
You see it now.
My computer is being helpful and it switched me.
All right. So I'll get the link and I will get that to everybody here. 1 second. Every day is a learning and growing
So
day.
I've had a couple people drop off because we didn't admit them yet.
We don't want anyone to be admitted to the Zoom. No one can come to the Zoom.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah, because otherwise they're just crashing it and they're not invited.
There we go. Thank you. I'm glad I don't have to watch for that. That makes it so much easier.
Yeah, no one. So there's a link, everybody. We want to post that on our social, and I'll tweet that right now. We had the best intentions of doing this before we went live, but here we are.
Can you hear me? Oh, fuck.
No, yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get the party started. Court, if you want to go ahead and mute yourself, that is cool. All right, we'll just get everyone to unmute everybody. Lynda, that would be great. We're gonna go ahead and get the party going. Yeah. So give me one quick moment while we get everybody unmuted. Shane's still muted. Sue's still muted.
I'm trying to get them unmuted.
Okay. And Miss Courtney, if you want to mute yourself, there you go, hon. Thank you. All right. All right.
Kevin, can you unmute?
Okay.
Shane's still muted.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I had to
Doing
unmute.
great.
There's Kevin.
There's Kevin.
Hey. Late as usual.
There he goes. So.
And it begins.
All right, we need to get Shane unmuted and then we'll be good.
I've been asking him to.
Oh, okay. Shane, you're muted. Could you go to the left. There you go, buddy. Now you're good.
Ooh, I pushed a
All
button.
right.
Facebook Live.
So, all right.
Are we
Hey,
here?
everybody.
I think we got it.
We got
Did
it.
we start partying early?
Oh, we ain't got it.
Almost. Close.
Almost.
So thank you everyone for showing up. You can see that this is our first time doing a huge live party like this. So we just appreciate you so much being patient with us. We're going to quickly introduce people, and a lot of these people you probably already know, maybe some of them you don't, but let's jump right into that. So first off, we're going to introduce Miss Psychic Sue, Psychic Medium, Contactee, and say hello to everybody, Sue.
Hi, everybody.
And then Sue, if you would introduce Otter to us, because not
I
everyone.
can. The man sitting next to me here is my beloved spouse, the Reverend White Otter. Say hello, Otter.
Hey there.
And so we're happy to work with you through all the kinks and the bugs of the beta testing version going live here.
I don't want to do it when I have to set her up.
Oh, and so it starts. This fair warning, you are doing this on the heels of a full moon, you know.
That's every day in my world.
It's every day in our house. Anyway, Otter and I are the translators for a group of extraterrestrials beneath the Sandia Mountain that's on the eastern edge of Albuquerque. And we are also the co-authors of a book called Inviting ET. And we're here to talk to you about our extraterrestrial friends, the Contactee, and share with you things about what they've said and how you can contact them, and to chat with our wonderful friends, Kat and Lynda, and to meet Shane. Hey, Shane, with the
Hi.
nice guy.
Thank you.
And to talk with Contactee and experiencer and fabulous rock musician, Kevin Estrella from Ontario, Canada area. And so we're happy to go with the flow. At the end of our show here today, we have some original portraits. These are not prints. These are the original copies from my collection of some of the Contactee drawings that we did early on. And so we're going to talk about the whole range of things from the Telepathy 101 primer and writing that.
Yeah, it's not a primer, it's a primer. And then you prime a gun, you know, and you don't prime a gun.
You don't prime the primer.
That's right.
Primer is an old English term that means beginning teaching manual.
Oh.
So an English primer would have been something that school kids in one-room schoolhouses would have had distributed to them, and they had to work through their lessons. That's where the word originally comes from. And it's always, when it refers to a teaching manual, like a school book, you say primer instead of primer. That's the only reason we're aware of the difference. That's the history of the whole thing. So anyway, we'll
Nice.
take it away, Kat, and tell us about everybody else that's here.
Thank you, bless you, and welcome, Otter. It's exciting to have you here. I can tell you're going to be one to keep an eye on. We'll have to watch out for you this whole show. So next in order, we have Mr. Kevin.
Yeah, watch Otter. Watch it.
So Kevin is a Star Nation contactee. He's a musician, and he's also a Contactee ambassador. So Kevin, you're going to have to talk over a little bit louder so your screen grabs your face, okay?
Sure, we can do that. Yep. Nice to be here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, cool. We'll keep moving on. We got Mr. Shane Smith, lightning psychic, psychic empath, all around character. So welcome to being part of the party, Shane.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You dress nicely. I like the tie with the pink suit coat. That's a really great juxtaposition with the plaid. You've really got it working out today. Well
It's
planned,
a party,
my friend.
you know.
Party.
It's a party, and I needed to have a little bit of, you know, a little stuff for the party too here. Little brandy. I need a little brandy.
Oh, Shane, so jelly right now. All right, well, have a sip for me.
All
All
right.
right, and then of course, last but never least is our Miss Lynda, psychic and conscious business coach. Thank you for hosting all the people's questions today, Lynda. Thank you so much.
I am watching 2 screens, so if you see me doing this, I'm either dancing to my own music or somebody's back there doing this for me.
As long as you don't
Excellent.
stand up and do the floss, we're fine.
Yep, we're good. We're good. Got my Mardi Gras beads on in celebration. I wish I could let you see them glow in the dark. I'm just, that'll be another day.
Do we have Mr. Manatee in case there are questions?
We
Yeah,
do. Thank you so much. If you guys have questions, go ahead and type them into the YouTube and chat, and then I will put this up so that that's our signal to step in. I have a lot of people already saying hi.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd love to recognize them being here.
Please do. I'm watching our personal chat instead of the public chat because I'm not that techie to multitask and do both. So anybody who's got a question in the chat or any comments, read them out loud to us so that Otter and I can both follow.
I will do that. That's what our manatee is going to be for, so that
Wonderful.
I can break in without
his
talking
name?
over people, because I tend to talk over people. So
What's the manatee's name?
Chuck.
Chuck.
Why wouldn't it be Chuck? That makes sense.
Why not? Hello, Chuck.
I thought Blue Dream was more appropriate.
But I had to come up with something very quick because no one's ever asked me that, and that's what came to mind. So
Oh, well, there you
apparently
go.
he's Chuck.
Okay, so awesome. Now we are going to, oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, I can watch our show. I have to mute us though.
Yes.
So, okay, we're gonna hop in. I want everyone to know first, before we get into all the questions and all that stuff, that we are going to be doing a giveaway at the end of the show. So this is very exciting. Like Sue was saying earlier, she has 3 original pieces. We also have a CD autographed by Kevin. So we're going to be auctioning off these things one at a time. Sue's going to actually walk us through each one of the art pieces and give us a little story and how they came to be, which is good, which is very special. I think it's so wonderful that we're getting original pieces being given away. Oh, and this is how you sign up. So in the chat, either Lynda or our person, our social media siren Courtney, who's hidden behind the scenes, one or both of them will be posting links on the YouTube chat. So if you want to do, this whole thing is about inviting everyone to do the 30-day telepathy primer. I'm gonna start saying primer from now on. Now that I've been educated, I'll start saying primer. The 101 telepathy primer, do a 30-day challenge. If you choose to sign up for that, then you automatically are entered to win one of the pieces. And if you've already completed it, just let us know that you've completed it in the document that we're going to share. And voila, you will also be entered. So we're going to raffle off, well, not raffle off, but do a random drawing of those 3 pieces. And Sue will show each one at the end and talk about those. And then also the finale will be Kevin's CD. So stay tuned to the very end, because that's when the giveaway happens and you want to, don't want to miss that. And again, it's going to be a little awkward and clunky at times because this is our first live stream during multiple people. So just bear with us and have fun. All right, so having got that piece out of the way, let us flip back over to, let us talk about, this is a party with a purpose. And I really want to discuss this, especially with Sue, Kevin, and Otter, that to me, what this party is about is that we are coming into our own as a human species. We are growing up, we are maturing. It's time to embrace our psychic gifts. It's time to embrace our ability to have telepathy and to communicate, to sense energy, whatever our natural gifts are. It's a natural part of being alive in the cosmos, but as humans, we've been dumbed down and shut off. So we're really looking to amplify that, embrace that, and own those gifts. What do you have to say about that, Sue?
You're right. One of the things that when we first started talking to Commander Tilcom way back in the fall of 2013, other than letting us know that the Pontee considered themselves human. One of the things that they impressed on us in that first year and a half was their telepathic communication style. The Pontee have vocal cords, but there is seldom used muscle. There are Pontee who can and know how to speak. Is the rare individual who might know how to sing. They do know how to make any mouth sound that you or I can make that does not involve vocal cords. So if you whistle, if you blow a raspberry, if you whisper, you don't need to use your vocal cords. But telepathy is something that we've had to learn from them how to follow the proper protocols in order to communicate that way, because they have their social rules too. But the sharing amongst us from the Pontee is something that they wanted very much to teach, to instruct other Earth humans how to improve their own telepathic skill set, because we all have it. It's just an unpracticed muscle in us, if you want to use that same kind of phrasing. And so they're trying to very much help share themselves so that it gains, improves, yeah, thank you. They're trying to kibitz and tell me what to say. Improves the understanding of who they are as a culture, as a people, as individuals, and to lessen the fear of contact, so that if you've never had contact, you can read what they've said, you can understand who they are a little bit by following them on Twitter or Facebook or the social media platforms, and get to know them before you dip your toe into that water of trying to reach out and invite them to your home. But the sharing is also important because there are other star nations that visit our world who are also telepathic nations, not just the Pontee. And they would like to be understood as well. Our world is changing, guys, and we are right on that edge of world-changing events for the physical part of our planet. And so they want to help get us ready for that and get us ready for what they call our official first contact.
Excellent. That was a great breakdown. Thank you. And we had chatted before the show, like online, and Kevin was wanting to know if it's possible for you to be able to tap in and hear the Pontee during the show. And if that is too much, is that okay? Were they chatting to you already? They're already
already interrupting and trying to insert
That's what I
words
thought.
into things. So it's that easy.
The three musketeers are sitting up there and with bated breath to get an opportunity.
Oh, and tell everybody who you're referring to.
That's Radar, Jason.
No, Radar Grayson.
Grayson, actually Grace Spear.
Yeah.
And PETA.
So there are three guys that pal around together a lot.
The three musketeers.
Rahaz, or Radar, who is one of the first staff members that we met other than Tilcom. His friend Grayson, who is their literature expert, which is why sometimes we call him Gray Spear, like Shakespeare. And PETA, who is one of the children's liaisons. All of them are over chomping at the bit and listening in on the entire conversation.
PETA's picture is on the front of the book.
Oh, that's right. If you've not seen the front of the Inviting ET book, or if you have bought a copy, PETA is the individual whose picture is on the front of that book. So those are the three that we're chatting about now.
Okay.
And they'll be available along with whoever else happens to show up in the control room or needs to say something. I'm sure they'll tap them on the shoulder if need be. So if you see me looking in this direction, I'm looking out our picture window that faces east from the living room. overlooking the entire western face of the Sandia Mountain. We have quite a view.
Okay,
May
that
I
is
have
great.
have
Yes,
some questions already.
questions,
So
Linda.
one question is, are they willing to answer questions posed?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And we will be putting someone asked about where the link is to the challenge. We'll be putting that in later.
So yeah, Miss Courtney, if Miss Courtney can do that now, that would be great.
Okay.
So I will also just send her a text here momentarily.
Or you can message me and I can pop it in.
Okay. One way or the other, we'll get it out there for everybody. Thank you. And so I wanted to hop in then with a question. I have so many questions actually, but there was also somebody who had sent in a question. Oh yeah, it's actually on this screen. I've got two screens up as well, so God knows. Oh Lord, hold up. Wow. So sorry.
You guys
So
share screen
sorry.
instead of us, because
Wow.
for us, it's like, oh, which button? What? Where? We
Yeah.
Well, while we're
like-
doing that, I'm going to call out first names while you look, Kat, okay?
Okay.
So welcome Jan, Marshall, Sabrina, Tobias, Julian, Wendy. I'm sorry, Jillian, Wendy, Angie, and Eric. Who have I missed? I know I've missed somebody. You guys are talking back and forth now. Oh, yes, of course. We have all the way from Argentina, Guillermo. Welcome, Guillermo.
Oh,
And
buenas
Argentina.
noches.
so we have England, we have Argentina, United States. Awesome.
That's keep going. Keep going.
Keep coming.
Let
Share
your
the
friends
link with
know
your
we're
friends.
on live and we're sharing for the next couple of hours. So
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, and I've got my question up. I do apologize. I totally hit the wrong button. So, all right, here we go. So this is actually Wendy, who is a subscriber to Third Eye Salon. She wanted to know, I want to know how the Ponti travel, the fuel they use, or do they have a portal? It is said that the ships in Area 51 work by telepathy. I would think you'd have to be very stable, loving society to mind control a ship. Do these two things relate at all?
fair question.
Yeah, very fair question. Go ahead.
The ships, they told us, are extruded in one piece with no seams, but they also have a consciousness volunteered into them and merged with them. And we found out this week that the most common consciousness chosen is one of a deep ocean aquatic. And so one of the amorphic nations. And so what I would say is, do the ships operate via telepathy? Yes, but it's a telepathic understanding between the sentience of the ship and the sentience of the crew and pilot, or the telepathic communication from the crew and pilot. So do they operate via telepathy? Partially, yes. The fleet is cared for by a fleet master who is much more akin to someone who takes care of an entire herd of horses rather than a mechanic, if that makes sense.
You've all seen the movie Avatar, where when the avatars got on those flying horses, they connected psychically and physically with those beings, and they became one. It's the same process that goes through with the skipper ships and so on.
That's not a bad analogy, actually.
Wow.
Not a bad analogy at all. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a merging, a blending, a cooperation, if you will. Do we know their food or their energy source? We've seen several things go on. We've seen them with a need to water the ship. In other words, to find a body of water and have the ship absorb a great deal of water. So we know that that's partially necessary. We also have seen images of what looks for all the world like a pool of silvery sort of liquid that shimmers into amber sometimes, and it spins. And I don't know what to call it, and I don't know how it works. I do know that it's associated with the function of the ship in the engine room. So whether or not you would refer to it as a food source or an energy source, both.
There's hydrogen.
Yeah, but exactly what
That's
it is, I
we-
can't tell you.
They're separating out the hydrogen.
We have never pressed the Pontee for their technology. And in fact, one of the things that they have informed us is that until the current signed treaty, the Desert Accord, ends in August of next year at its 50-year marks, they're not allowed to share technology. And so that's one of the reasons that we have kind of shied away from pressing them for that sort of information. But
They told us flat out they wouldn't give it to us.
Right. So there are some things that they're allowed to talk about and some things that they're not allowed to talk about. And we'll tell you as much as we
They're
know.
a cultural awareness and cultural contact.
Right. They're
Looking
cultural
for people
explorers.
with brains on their shoulders and not fear between their ears.
Well, fair enough. Does that help?
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great breakdown because I was wondering the same thing yesterday in terms of their fuel source, the relationship to fuel, because in humanity, our culture, we see things as so outside of ourselves and we don't see the connection. So it makes more sense that they would have an organic connection to both their fuel source, to both their mode of transportation and to their technology, where it would be a living relationship versus this is an object that has a button that has fuel and make it move. It's like, it's more of a cooperation as opposed to a domination, or that's that and I'm me and we're separate. There's a unity.
Correct.
Yeah.
Good
That's
question.
That's where the primer is right in line with what we've been talking about, is your ability to learn to connect and how fast you can learn to connect, and then continue to practice that 285-page sequence of questions
In the Telepathy 101
in the
primer.
Telepathy 101 primer. And continue to do that, challenge yourself to accomplish different aspects of it in becoming more aware of yourself. Self-awareness and spirituality plays hand in hand with telepathy.
Okay. It's a little bit hard to hear, Otter.
We can
I don't
try
know
and
if you-
turn up the volume.
Yeah, if you can increase your, just so we can hear him a little bit better. But it looks like Lynda's posting some questions here. And one of them, Miss Lynda, did you want to reference some of these questions?
Yeah, I can grab some of them. I just didn't, it's scrolling with a lot
Go
of
fast and
questions
try to
here.
save them.
So I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure I caught some. One of them that pertains to what you're talking about is, are they cooling? I want to say, are they cooling their jets? But that's not what they were wanting. Are they cooling a central core? That's one question. And then the others are in the other chat. So I've got two from Jillian. So the first one is, it's a question for you, Sue. On Friday, I saw a blue flash of light in my vision and heard clairaudiently, "We're the Pontee." A minute later, my 16-month-old son started choking on his lunch, and I had to perform the Heimlich maneuver. I'm wondering if I was possibly having a contact experience. I was eerily calm performing the Heimlich on him, trying to understand it. Was them or just me thinking it?
Well, all right. For me, if that had happened to me, my key would have been, I saw a blue flash first, followed by a telepathic experience.
Well, you really had that very similar
I
reaction.
did.
When they first started talking to you.
Yes.
And I'd been listening to them, but not paying a lot of attention
Right.
until you walked in the house.
Right. And so I would say if that happened to me, I would have called that experience a valid telepathic contact. And in fact, the fact that it happened right on the heels of or the edge of your son choking, they may have somehow been alerted to that possibility and wanted you to know that that was going to happen or pay attention a little bit more. And so I would say, yes, I would call that valid. One of the things that I can tell you that I did not realize until we met our dear friend Darrell Stokes, who is a paranormal photographer. We went on a visit to, and Darrell photographs orbs and things from the unseen world and does a fabulous job capturing them. But one of the things that we learned and is that when you and I see pinpoint flashes of light, if you were to see a pinpoint flash of light and then suddenly point a camera at that flash of light, what your camera would pick up would not necessarily be the same pinpoint that your eyes saw. We had that happen to us, and I saw a flash of light exactly like you're describing, and had a photographer, was Darrell's daughter at the time, point a camera a microsecond later and take several rapid fire pictures at that very same spot. And what came out on the film was not a flash of light or a small pinpoint of light. It was a huge orb the size of a basketball. So can we be fooled by our eyes and have cameras pick up other things that our eyes are not seeing exactly the same way because we have a limited visual spectrum and range? Yes. And so that would be another reason that I would consider it valid, specifically because you saw the flash of light first before you got the message of them identifying themselves by name. Now, would I have encouraged you to continue the dialogue? You had your hands full a little bit at the time, dealing with your son. So good for you for being calm and performing the Heimlich maneuver. I hope your son is so okay right now. But yes, valid experience.
Speaking of experiences, I have Firas from Iraq.
Wow.
And this is so awesome. We're all over the place. Barack wants to know, the Punti never answer me on Twitter. Do they have a base near Middle East or near Iraq?
Oh, good question. You know, all right. So what?
Southern Spain.
That's where the UMO are.
There's a small Ponte communications base right in southern Spain off the Mediterranean.
It's not an information station. All right. So let's distinguish between the 4 land-based and 4 aquatic information stations for other star nations, which is what this base is, versus a small private base of Ponte somewhere on the planet. Otter is saying he knows that they've referred to him, and he's had different conversations than I have with them. So he's saying in southern Spain along the edge of the Mediterranean, there is a Ponte facility. It's not an information station for star nations, but it is a Ponte facility. I'm sorry if they don't answer you on Twitter. Sometimes they tell me which questions that they need to address that particular day. And if it's something they've addressed several times before, they will skip over that in favor of questions that have not been answered before. So our apologies if we missed you on Twitter or skipped over it because of that reason. But yes, there are facilities. There are 4 land-based information stations, plus many other facilities that are not information stations that the Ponte have underground here. So yes, there apparently is one close by. And do I know of others in the Middle East? I'm thinking only because I've spent a lot of time on Google Earth surfing, looking for the archaeoplanetography images that they've shared with us. And I don't recall any Ponte images specifically in the Middle East. There are other star nations that have that area as a jurisdiction. And some of the giant nations claimed that area first before the Ponte. And so I would expect, given the imagery that we're looking at, specifically in, say, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, the old Persian Empire area, to look for six-fingered giants with large jaw bones, perhaps double rows sets of teeth, perhaps red hair. They tend to be the most prevalent images of star nations in that area.
Yeah.
First and foremost, we do, by the time we get down into Northern Africa, see the elongated skull folks, the Iya, like with the Egyptian hieroglyphs, where you see a skull that tends to be a good 25 to
Something similar to the Paracas.
yes, something similar to the Paracas skull folks, which would be a different cult of Iya. But I hope that answers the question. It was kind of long and rambling.
But that's great. I mean, it kind of opens up this whole talk about, because I've heard about, there's actually a song by a band called Rasputina, and they talk about the giant skull, the giants that have the red hair and double rows of teeth. And from my understanding, like there's so much in our cosmic, galactic, Earth history that has been hidden, disguised, taken away. And part of it is that, like, from what I know, that tribe was the giants with the red hair and the teeth, the double rows of teeth, the six fingers, that they were descendants of the pre-Adamites. And that was like the beings who were here before, like, we had the species that we have now. But I just think it's fascinating that we can bring all of these things in. One question that I had for you, Sue, that I wanted to get answered when I was like watching our show that we had done originally was, when you were young and a contactee, and you were like more, you weren't as aware of it, like you were having the kind of typical contactee experience of you're having memories and flashbacks, but you weren't a conscious contactee. But you saw a Ponte even as a child, and then you saw a Ponte then as an adult, with Otter. And I'm wondering, what is the relationship between those two Ponte tribes? Are they the same Ponte? What is, like, was it a handover of like, hey, she's one of us, and so, but we're going on to a different mission, so.
Okay, so here's what I've kind of pieced together. There are a number of star nations who follow family genetic lines through generations. My first experience with any star nation was at my grandmother's house, not very far from where you live, Kevin, up in upstate New York, just outside of Niagara Falls, which is across the water from Toronto, Canada, where Kevin is. So my grandparents, my father, grew up less than an hour's drive from where Kevin lives now. Okay, that is where I had my first experience with a star nation that I remember consciously, because it scared me so badly. When I was in first grade, age 5 to 6, I recall a Zeta nation with the kind of features that we see in the Ponte, coming always in groups of 4 or 5 out of my closet in my bedroom. And this was in Iowa, in the very middle of the state of Iowa. I was very frightened of them, and knew that they always came through the roof, because I was on the second floor, into my closet, and then exited from my closet into my bedroom. And so for a long time, I had a very difficult time sleeping with the closet door open as a child. Fast forward to my experiences as an adult, that again are all conscious. I've never gone under hypnosis to remember any of them because I was awake for all of them. I met Contactee in my 30s in 1990. It was actually 1998 was when I saw a craft early morning outside of Ames, Iowa, and went home and did my due diligence and reported it to MUFON and thought that was the end of it.
Huh.
And 10 days later, one of the tall white Jalohu, a nation that looks like a Ponte person only stretched to 8 feet tall and creamy white.
And they're called what?
The Jalohu.
Jalaku.
Xalohhu. Jalohu.
Okay.
The Jalohu and the Ponte are different, distinct nations, but they're allies. And so the Jalohu entered my bedroom first, approximately the 14th or 15th, somewhere between the 10th and the 15th of June, and then of 1998. And then 10 days later, I met 4 Ponte at the foot of my bed that same month.
Wow.
And they're, again, the same nation that we're talking to now. I did not know any of them by name then. I did not know what to call them. I went through a great deal of fear and insomnia at the time. And I remember going out into the backyard and screaming at the night sky, please just talk back to me. Please, I cannot help you if we cannot communicate both ways. And I spent a year and a half requesting for back and forth communication instead of just being on the reactive receiving end of regular visits by extraterrestrial ships. I've seen more craft. I saw more craft between 1998 and 2001 than I can remember to count.
Well, would you say that, Sue, that you are you a Ponte soul? Do you identify as being a Ponte soul? Or do you, because I feel like when I tune into you, if I'm honest, like I feel like you've got, like you're like many of us where you've got a crossbreed of different ET kin, like you might have a reptilian family because you had that reptilian experience, and or the Terra, the reptarian, like these might be part of your celestial family, and you're in this incarnation, but your soul's more connected to them on that bigger level.
I don't know that I would say that I consider myself any kind of a hybrid or
Okay.
have a soul from a different nation, although I have always identified with those galactic explorers, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
Identified with the fact that there are many nations feels very familiar to me.
Okay.
Knowing multiple nations or working with multiple nations, perhaps, but to feel like I'm one, not that I've ever consciously connected with. They just
Okay.
all feel familiar somehow, like we've been coworkers or friends.
Or both.
Or both.
That's awesome. I want to make sure Miss Lynda can pop in with questions if they are coming in, but I also want to include Kevin in the conversation. And I kind of want to, so if you want to unmute yourself, Kevin, like I wanted to talk a little bit about whales. Because this is something that, you know, we've talked about with Kevin, and it's something just near and dear to my heart. And I wanted to get both of your perspectives on this, as well as Mr. Otter. So if,
Actually, can I make a comment regarding the?
Yeah, please, Kevin.
connection
Yeah,
to Star Nation?
feel free to jump in, Kevin.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make a comment regarding the connection to Star Nations, because I have actually come into knowledge about some of my past lives as other Star Nations, and I would say probably even future lives of other Star Nations to explain. I came through understanding through some friends like Elizabeth April, and then I got confirmation from our friend Wookie, because he communicates with Dee Dee, a tall white, and she actually confirmed the information that was passed on to me from Elizabeth April, that I do have reptilian. I have been a reptilian in the previous lives, and probably multiple different types of reptilians. But I became a telepathic translator for an Alpha Draconian at the 2017 Alien Cosmic Expo in Toronto. And I was speaking, it was both of us speaking. But during that conversation, I said, these are my people. There are many of us in the room right now, and we are listening. Now, at the time, I thought I was just speaking for him. But it'd be a year or two later when I really thought about what I was saying and realized that I spoke for both of us, and realized that I have the connection to Alpha Draconian. So it's kind of like the equivalent of, finding out what kind of race you are. You find out you have Spanish blood, or you find out that your grandfather is is French. It's kind of like the same thing, but it's from a multidimensional type of existence of that. I'm connected to this, I'm connected to that, I have connections here and there, and because we're multidimensional beings, there's and then that's when we start to understand our past lives and our connection to that. That's very important to remembering who we are. But I also wanted to say that when I went under hypnosis for the first time, and I was asked to go all the way into the future, I did, and I was met by these 3 Zeta-like bodies, but they had larger eyes and they looked more like insects, like praying mantises. I was confused because I had never seen beings like that before, and I thought it was my own mind playing tricks on me, and I thought they were just strange looking Zetas. And when I even told the hypnotist, there's these 3 grays who are standing in front of me, and they told me my mission's complete, and I take this ball of light in my mouth and I become one with Source again. No, they were actually mantis beings, but it would be 3 months after I had hypnosis that when I was watching a video from Susie Hansen talking about the mantis beings, when all of a sudden I made sense, like, how did I know that they even exist? I never even knew they exist, really? So somehow I have a future connection to mantis in a future life. Okay.
Well, yeah, and I think it's interesting because, okay, we're gonna get to Lynda's question here 1 minute. I just want to tap in on that because I can't help myself. I think it's interesting because we experience time as linear, but how I see it is that we're all these sparks of life, and that within this spark that I'm all these beings within the spark. So over here, I might have a reptilian. Over here, I might have a Zeta. Over here, I might have an Arcturian. But that breath of life that is me, that's in all those different expressions happening all simultaneously, can be experienced linearly, or all at once. You know what I mean? I think that's just that's the whole point of, why we're also doing this, is because we want to be able to wake up and have these experiences and let this be the new norm. Like Sue has this great picture. If Miss Courtney can find that, I don't know if there's anybody to share that on the YouTube stream, but there's this great picture of this is your new normal, and there's these 3 Ponty that are just poking their head around the closet, because this can't be our new normal, and it's about us waking up and realizing that the way we thought it was just this much of the story, and this story goes on and on way out of the screen. You know what I mean? So I do want to talk about whales, but I want Miss Lynda to have the audience pop in. So what did we hear, Miss Lynda?
We have several questions here. One, Jillian wants you to know that her adorable child is fine now. So
Yay.
yay. Okay, and then I'm going to skip back to Wendy. In regards to what Sue was now saying, which is a few minutes ago, my daughter had an experience at 2. She said she saw bright lights dancing and what she called monkeys talking to her in her bedroom. She wasn't scared. And then later on in life, she says they were only worldly folk, and now has a tattoo on her arm, and she's now 27. So, and I want to go back and say that, sorry, keeping track of all of these.
You're doing great.
let's see. Jillian mentioned I have seen a mantis during a meditation once. It's very strong, beautiful energy coming through during the clairvoyant experience. Wendy says, I have no memory from birth to 21. All I can tell you is I woke up in a hospital. Wow. And Faraz said the Mesopotamian region in Iraq is looked like a fish from space. Maybe our friends can give me a visit or just tell the other space nations to visit me in Baghdad, located at the tail of the fish. Thanks.
Well, and this is the thing.
One more.
What happened there is, I want to say that if you want that experience, learn the telepathy primer. Sign up for the 30-day challenge. That way it's not like, Sue, will you ask for me? Like, no, you get to ask yourself. That's the whole beauty of this. So sign up for the primer. Primer. I'm going to get it right. So just do that through the Google Doc. And if we need to keep sharing the Google Doc throughout the chat, we will. Okay, Miss Lynda.
And last one is Guillermo made a comment that the telepathy, you can travel in time. I've traveled in space, but I haven't traveled in time. Awesome.
Wow. Well, I think, again, our gifts are we're just waking up to our gifts. What do you want to say, Miss Sue? I can see you want to say something.
Oh, Otter had just made a comment when Guillermo down in Argentina had said with the telepathy, you can travel in time with your messages and receive messages and send messages. Otter said, yep, that's true.
Wow.
Because we've seen that happen. It's not something that we think of because we're taught to think in linear time. And it is something that maybe Kevin can address, because I remember a conversation between Kevin and Tani about, or maybe it was Kevin and Thera, about inserting a projection into the music that he was writing to ripple out the telepathic message into the future from that place or that time that he was writing it, so that yes, so that he could access and have the individuals who hear it, say even 200 years from now, get the message that he was writing into it today.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you want to say about that, Kevin?
I can actually read what Thera wrote me, because I turned it into a poem and I framed it, and it became it became my mantra and my prayer to everything that I write. What she wrote is it's absolutely beautiful. So I'll read it to you. Okay. So she says, Kevin, you are moving forward, beginning your understanding of the vibrational impact of proactive of intent behind your forward through time ripple of telepathic emotional storytelling. You have begun the, quote, soul deep dive, as the whales say. You have begun to recognize how important your understanding of the soup is, how your music literally ripples through the collective consciousness. When you go to the edge of the black, you go to your 9, your place of highest potential, where nothingness and everything exist. As a new thought or inkling for a song comes to you, it echoes through the soup to you. Add your interpretation and your emotional storytelling potently to the ripple and amplify your emotional portion. Sing the strings. Sing them with your tears. Sing them with your greatest love that you can put into the intent behind the images that you are sharing. Tell a visual story and an emotional story with your guitar. The chords in reality are complex emotion-filled murals. Make every note count, like the brush strokes of a painting or the tremble of an emotionally laden voice. Your strings and your heart must merge. Send your songs into the forever oceans. Thera.
Wow.
I forgot she said that.
What really strikes me about that is how emotion is important. And I think a lot of times we are told to tamp down our emotions and to be less emotional. And it's more about channeling the emotion, tuning into the emotion and channeling it rather than controlling it, is what I'm hearing. Like merge in and having a relationship with your emotions. What do you say about that, Kevin?
Yeah, your emotions, you emotionally merge with the collective. When I'm writing, when I'm playing my guitar and I'm connecting with the music, it's a ripple effect, and it's all coming out. It's a communication with yourself and the universe, where basically all you need to do is get out of the way. That's all you get out of the way. The music is going to write itself. And what's really interesting is the new music that I'm writing now. I had all these new songs coming to me, songs that were written in one take. Okay.
Wow.
Oh, shoot.
You
So
froze
they're
me.
written in one take. The whole songs from beginning to end. Yeah, sorry about that. The new songs I'm writing now were written in one take, from beginning to end. The whole song was complete. All the verse, the choruses, the changes, and every song is different. But I did not have to change anything. I just had to learn the songs. The songs literally wrote themselves. They were gifts. So
Yeah.
when you merge and you sing the strings, that's when you are communicating, and then you're sending them back out into the forever oceans.
The forever oceans. You're channeling at that point. You really are listening to the muses, as they called it back in the day, and just being a conduit. That's so gorgeous. Miss Lynda has a question, but also I want to say, Mr. Shane,
Yes.
do you have any questions? Because you have to pop in. You have to assert yourself. If questions come up, you got to let us know. Do you have anything that you wanted to ask at this point?
Well, I'd like to know how can we help them be more familiar with this? How can I meet them and understand them and help them in some way? And I know there are other ones coming from all over, and how can I be an ambassador for them?
Oh, Miss Sue, do you want to?
That's a very good question, and one that we get quite a bit. And we've had discussions with a number of the Pontee regarding that question. And what I would say, honestly, is be able to kind of search yourself for things that are unique to you. Do you have a skill that is unique to you? Do you have a history of something that you've done in life that you think that they would be interested in learning about or sharing? Um, uh, what about you do you share with your very best friends? And what works for friendship for you? Those are the same things that will work for friendship with
Oh,
the
I see.
Pontee. They're cultural ambassadors, Shane. They're here to learn about us as a people. They are fascinated with anything that's creative. They're fascinated with handmade things or personal experiences. Every home that they visit is unique, and they're curious. When we know that they're here, we'll sit in, say, our living room and hear them rustling around through cupboards in our kitchen. I will constantly be sitting in the living room and hearing them go through the images or the drawings in the solarium.
You can go back to the website and pull all of that information up, all of the tweets on various different subjects and the whole thing. They're all in that library.
That's right. They're all in the archives. You can search, get to know them,
Okay.
find out about what their culture is like, and ask them questions that are specific to their culture.
What's the website?
The official firstcontact.com website. And that's where you can find the free Telepathy 101 primer. It's also where you can search the archives. It also has a page of things that the experiencers and contactees of the Ponte across the planet have shared back with us about what's gone on in their lives during a visit, or evidence that they have gathered. Kevin has some of that kind of evidence, but videos, still shots, audio, soil samples, things that have gone bump in the night, falling out of people's kitchen cupboards and pantry shelves. All of those kinds of stories can be had on the experiencers page. When they become curious with someone on Twitter, that individual stands out to them because that individual has put aside their fear and shared themselves, or asked a poignant question, or told a story, or has a profession that's interesting and unique, or has a perspective that's unique, or has a skill set that's unique to them. So artists, musicians, theater folks, writers, but now we're seeing them interested in a whole broad range of people. One of the Twitter followers happens to be deaf, and his thinking, his brain pattern of how he processes information in life is different than those of us who have our hearing intact. And so they became interested in them because he started interacting with them on Twitter very openly, very freely, and took the time to learn and study the Telepathy 101 primer, which they wrote so that he could hear them. And they are starting to activate some of his audio centers so that now, even though he can't hear people in life, he can hear them telepathically, which is a huge, huge new piece of information. So what can you do to invite them? Learn what they've said about their protocols, spend the time, put in the practice time. Get a drink, sweetie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we both are dealing with the end of fall allergies here, but and then interact with them, treat them like people. They're not gurus. They may be more technologically advanced than we are, but they're just people. Treat them like your next door neighbor showed up at your house and said, "Oh, hey, what you doing?" And talk to them and interact with them. If you're not doing anything but watching TV in the living room, say, "Well, come on in, sit down. I'm watching this show on the TV right now. This is what's going on in the show. Let me know if you've got questions. There's snacks in the fridge." You know, treat them like your friends and talk to them. If you hear, like with Jillian, she heard a phrase right before her baby choked. And we say, if you hear them, if you sense them, do anything and everything you can to keep a dialogue going. If they say something, ask them another question that's on a related topic. Keep the interaction going. Don't drop it. Don't stop to assess, geez, did I just hear them telepathically? Huh, I wonder. Just assume you did and keep it going, because that's how the dialogues build upon each other. I
That
see
is-
Lynda has another question.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I've got a question sitting on my shoulder.
Thank you.
So this one you answered before, but I think perhaps Lord Vader came in afterwards. Also had felt he had contact, asked for confirmation the next day, but has never received any confirmation. Not frustrated, just wondering if he's doing something wrong.
Okay. When people write to the Ponte and say, "Remember that light in the sky back in 1991? Was that you?" You haven't provided a context, okay? They don't know where you're talking. They don't know what date you're talking. They don't know what time of day you're talking. They don't know who was with you. And so how do you expect them to look up anything in their logs with no information?
And I'm guessing I didn't give the full question in the context. The way I read it was that, yes, I've been trying for more than 100 days.
Ooh.
and that felt that he had had a conversation with Judy,
Judy.
or at least I think I did. When I asked for confirmation on Twitter, nothing. So that's,
Okay.
so that it sounds like it was a very short period of time between asking.
Right. And there are times where I miss questions for them. We try and get on Twitter and Facebook on a very, very regular basis for them and go through everything very quickly. But there are sometimes thousands of tweets in a single day. Thousands. Okay. We have a lot of interaction. If you look at all of the responses that I scroll through, sometimes it takes me an hour just to read through all of the previous day's tweets to them for them to choose which ones they want to respond to. So we're coming into a time crunch of, because there are almost 15,500 followers on Twitter alone, and we don't know how many on Facebook right now. It takes time to go through all of the various questions, and then they cherry pick what they have time to answer and who they want to interact with that day. And I apologize, we cannot get to everyone, but they try and address the questions that are unique, or they do spot and cherry pick the new people and say, hi. But can I tell you that it was Drudy that interacted with you without knowing the particulars? I don't even know how to pose the question to them yet at this point in time. So again, when you see a light in the sky, it's very fresh in your memory, but you have to get specific because they don't know which incident, what, where that you're talking about unless they can triangulate it, so to speak. Does that make sense?
I think what's coming to my mind is that when I had suspected very strongly that I had a ghost in our house, and I realized by observation that that showed up every time I fixed spaghetti and would move things when I fixed spaghetti. I purposely put everything out and fixed spaghetti and had my items on the side, and I watched and I said, if that's you, you know, I'm fixing your favorite meal and I just made fun, and asked for them to move something because they were always moving my things right then and there. Like, and I turn around to reach for my spices and they were gone. They were on the table behind me. Wow. And so I'm wondering if that kind of interaction could be, instead of going back to Twitter, just at the moment in that time, being playful and asking for something as a symbol.
Oh yeah.
That's not a bad idea at all. And in fact, we say treat them like people. If somebody walks into your front door of your house, the first questions out of your mouth are,
hi, how are you? It's good to see you.
But if you don't know who it is,
oh, if you don't know who it is, right.
How the hell did you get in here?
Who are you? Where are you from? Why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Are those common questions.
Does it hurt to pee?
Does it hurt to pee?
Yep.
What?
Oh God, 2 years ago, I had a training follow me into the hall bath, and I unzip my pants and whip it out and start to go pee. And he says, does that hurt?
We do get strange questions from trainees, and Otter gets some stranger ones than I do sometimes. I guess.
Well,
We've heard them ask all kinds of things, but go ahead.
Now that he's derailed us, I want to ask, this is a question because I've got so many questions.
I told you to watch out, Otter. I told you to watch out for him.
Watch out for that man. So I want to know, because the Ponte can eat our junk food. There's this whole story about thieving a Pop-Tart, you know, in a very playful, loving way, but thieving a Pop-Tart. And I'm like, Oh my God, I have to be, I mean, I have a very clean diet. I probably have a almost ridiculously clean diet. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're supposed to be upgrading our bodies. We're getting ready for ascension, 5D reality, blah, blah, blah. Like, make sure your diet's clean, all this stuff. And it's like, okay, but they're having pizza with anchovies and they're having freaking Pop-Tarts. Doesn't that give them gas? Doesn't that like hurt their little alien or their little Ponty human
Like
tummies?
hippos, they fart through their mouths.
They fart through their mouths, he said.
Oh,
I
dear.
said, just like hippos.
Okay, so, all right. When you are on vacation or you travel to a new country, let's say you go to France for the first time, are you going to ignore all the French pastries?
No, hell no.
Really? You have a really healthy diet. What are you saying?
Shame.
Okay, so when you're a cultural explorer, I see you, Shane. You do sample the unusual and the favorite foods of the people that you're learning about to merge with them and better understand them. Why do they like this? What's it taste like? What's the mouthfeel like? They are always talking about pizza and chocolate. What are those like? Okay.
They come here and get it.
So, which segues into Mr. Kevin. Can you tell our listeners about the Close Encounters of the Pontel Kind new YouTube channel and what it's there for and what kind of episodes you have had to date?
Oh, sure, yeah. So we have a new YouTube channel, which is called Close Encounters of the Pontil Kind. And it's a collaboration with Wookie and myself. Wookie's my friend from Australia, and Jan Prozac. He's actually on the call today. He's our illustrator and does a fantastic job with the illustrations.
Hi, Jan.
And how are you doing? Yan, that's right, Yan. Sorry, Yan. Yeah. So that's the three of us who are working on these, and Sue did a fantastic job with the Close Encounters of the Ponty Kind artwork, which is it's inspired by the Close Encounters of the Third Kind imagery, but it's of the Sandia Mountain. It's brilliant, and you actually look carefully, you can see a little radar ship is flying straight off the top of the mountain. So we've done 4 episodes. The first episode was a visitation from Jason's visitation from PETA, and PETA teasing him and snapping his shorts. That one's called Oh Snap. You should check that one out. It's about the playfulness of the Ponty. We did another one with Jeff Demers and him who actually frightened a trainee who visited him because he actually grabbed his arm, and the trainee got so scared he ran through the wall. And then we did another episode with called Chokeweed, with it was all about Sue and Otter, and their time at the Chihuahua Psychic Sasquatch Conference, and Sue's interactions with the female Sasquatch who was up on the mountain. I'm not going to tell you what that one's about. You have to go look that one up yourself. So
Nice.
And then we did the last one we did was Wookie's visitation, the Pop-Tarts story, and the Ponty who could not keep his hands off the Pop-Tarts in the pantry. So go look it up, Close Encounters of the Ponty Kind on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe.
One of the reasons that we started that channel is to let the public know that not all experiences have contact that's frightening or scary. Some of it is hilarious. Some of it is poignant and unexpected. Some of it makes your jaw go, wah. But we wanted to share the other kinds of stories that aren't the Hollywood fearmonger stories, and try and get the public to understand that these guys can make mistakes.
Yeah.
These guys can show you how to communicate with them, or that they're there in various ways, and what it's like for them to actually visit your home, it's not always a frightening, oh my God, somebody's here sort of feeling. Oftentimes it's a, you did what?
Well, do you want to share the story about the Ponte's side of the Travis Walton? Is that something you can share? Or is that out of bounds right now?
I think we'd have to get Travis to approve it.
All right. So what Katman is referring to is that Travis Walton is a resident of Arizona and lives approximately 3 hours from us if you drive by car. And when he was younger, in the late 70s, was that right?
Yeah.
He had an interaction, and he was on a remote fire crew team that deals with forest fires. And the team
Was it
all
Ponte?
well, the team was driving in a pickup truck near dusk, and they came across what looked like what he originally thought was a pine tree, a tall pine tree on fire. And so the fire crew rounded the corner and realized it wasn't a pine tree whose top was on fire from a lightning strike. It was in fact a UFO who was throwing off sparks and having a mechanical problem. And Travis was in the passenger side seat and got out of the vehicle and approached the area with his jaw down going, what is this? And a ray came from the ship and struck him and knocked him back. And he struck his head on a rock. The rest of the fire crew team witnessed all of this, and you can, and they took off. They hightailed it a whole mile down the road without stopping before the driver stopped and said, we have to go back. And they actually had a 10-minute argument because they were so scared about going back to retrieve him. By the time they turned around, went back to the spot, the UFO and Travis were gone. A week later, he shows up naked, not there in Arizona, and
Highway 119.
Yep, on a highway that was not terribly far from where he was taken. All right, so that's the fire in the sky Travis Walton story in a nutshell. We heard the Ponte side of it. And so they had a crew, long story short, they had a crew that was having a mechanical problem, and they were in the process of trying to fix it, and did not realize that he had gotten out of the vehicle and approached it. Due to a malfunction, the ray came out and knocked him back. But because they caused the injury to Travis, he broke his neck. He was dead. Wow. They scooped him up and immediately took him to their version of a medical intensive care unit, put him into stasis for a whole week in order to rewire his spinal column to his brain all over again. So that's the long story short of what we heard from the Ponte side of things. There are a lot more details to that. We would like to share that story with Travis himself at some point in time when we get the chance. We have gone through our friend Clifford Mahooty to let him know that when he feels that Travis is ready to hear that, we would like to share it with him.
He may have heard it from Clifford.
He may have heard it from Clifford. So Clifford Mahooty, our Zuni elder friend, and Travis Walton are close friends and have known each other for decades.
Okay.
So that's our version of that, but we heard their side of it and their scramble because they caused the injury. And they were right there. They had a chance to whisk him to a facility where he could be repaired immediately. And they did.
And I think it's an important pivot point because when people, this is a very human thing, and I'm also very guilty of it, is saying, oh, if I have an extraterrestrial encounter, I know that they have this advanced equipment, they're advanced beings. Can they heal me of this? Can they heal that? Can they? And there becomes this wish list like Santa Claus of like, I would like the Ponte or the Star Nations to heal me of these various afflictions. And it's like, well, it's not so black and white. Like there's a whole scope, there's a whole range. Sometimes we have afflictions because it's a karmic balance. And like if all of a sudden I can't take care of myself and somebody else has to take care of me, I'm forced into a position of receiving. And that's something that my soul needs to learn. It's not so black and white, but I would love to, for you all, the three of you, to kind of talk about like this thing of like, well, I do have hip problems, I have a shoulder problem, I have a throat problem, I have an eye, like whatever it is. And they don't just come over and go, boop, you're healed. But occasionally they do have experiences where they work with people and they do have healings. So what is that texture of who gets what and why? Can you want to speak to that a little bit, Sue?
All right.
And Otter and Kevin?
We because we're on the other side of 60, we'll just put it that way.
And looking great.
We have our own health issues. We've had discussions with the Ponte about, could you come help me with this? And we have asked, but that doesn't mean that we expect them to drop everything and come heal us. What they've told us is, the first thing is straight up, if they cause the health issue, they will fix the health issue above and beyond 100%. Okay. And so with our own personal medical issues, they didn't cause these medical issues.
Right.
All right. And they also have told us, do you know how many of you are on this planet? We can't promise to come visit and heal everybody. That's not possible. We can't play favorites that way. All right. On the other hand, we know of another Albuquerque native, a woman by the name of Gloria Hawker, who the UFO author Bud Hopkins wrote about in his books. Gloria and her family lived at the base of the Sandia Mountain and saw ships on a regular basis because they happened to live at the entrance to the canyon that was the western face smaller entrance. And so UFOs would go up and down the canyon, heading to the western entrance, right past her house. So they saw a lot of ships and had personal interaction with multiple family members, which is why Bud wrote them up. Gloria was bedridden with an accident, and this was after she had been experiencing the Ponte for more than 4 decades, and was in bed one day. It was a situation where she needed help to even get out of bed to go to the bathroom. So she really had a number done on her and was not feeling well. She was on the edge of sleep, and at the foot of her bed was a wall. And the wall dissolved into an 8-foot sea of sparkles of various colors. And a handful of Ponte walked out of the wall and surrounded her bed and began to heal her. And when I met Gloria, we first met via phone conversation and email. And she called me up and she said, I understand that you know the names of the beings under the Sandia Mountain. And so that's how our conversation started. And she didn't know that I had sketched them and drawn them. So I was sending her via email sketches of the Ponte and talking to her on the phone at the same time. I sent her the sketch of Drudy, who oftentimes wears a headscarf, a silk scarf on her head. She didn't like her head cold under the mountain. And the minute Gloria opened that photo up on her computer, I heard her gasp and start to cry.
I know that one.
I know this woman. She was one of the ones that came to heal me. Please, what is her name? Please, can she come again? Please, I'd like to talk to her and tell her thank you. And she was profoundly affected. And so, do we hear stories of them spontaneously healing folks? Gloria never asked for healing. She didn't even think to do that. But she'd been a lifelong experiencer, and they realized that she was in trouble. And so they just helped her. So we see both sides. How do they determine who to help and who not to help? That I can't tell you.
Well, and I'm sure there's there's a lot of different texture, there's a lot of different reasoning. It's not like, again, I think we have this very elevated view of star nations, and we don't consider their challenges or their protocols or their dynamics or their, any of that. We just kind of think, well, they have it all together, so they can do anything they want, and it doesn't consider them as being, fallible and doing their best and learning, and they're growing just like us and trying to understand. I wanted to pop in and tell everybody, so far we don't have anyone signed up on the list. So if you guys are wanting to enter for the drawing, you want to sign up for the 30-day telepathy primer challenge, or if you've already done the 101 telepathy primer already, to go to that Google Doc, put your name in there, and we'll give everybody another 15 minutes here to get your name in, and we'll see how it goes. We really want to do a giveaway, so don't make it hard for us.
Post a link into them so that, and let's repeat it out loud so that everybody understands
Okay.
what they're signing up for. Kat, go ahead.
So you are signing up for to win one of 3 portraits or a autographed CD from Kevin. So Miss Sue, do you have the portraits handy to?
I do.
Okay.
I have them right here. And
so Miss Sue's gonna show those here in a little bit. And it's basically, you're doing a trial run of the 30-day telepathy primer. Shane and I are signing up for it, and we both wanted to do it. Miss Lynda, I hope you sign up for it too. I know that you got so much on your plate, but I hope you join with us as well. And the thing is that Sue's going to she's going to launch this tomorrow for everybody that signs up. So you can show up on Facebook or on Twitter, and Sue's going to pose a question. She'll be answering questions, but there's going to be a 30-day focus on, it's a 100-day primer. Okay. It's a 100-day challenge or a 100-day course, but we're just saying, try 30. So show up for the 30 days. You'll have direct interaction with Sue and the Ponte via Sue and Twitter, as well as on Facebook too. So that's going to start tomorrow. So Sue, maybe you should just go ahead and share your pictures. But I guess also I want to ask, does Shane or Lynda have anything else to jump in with before we go into that part?
I just posted on the discussion the link. Sorry guys, I missed that earlier. That's probably why no one signed up yet. So it is in the link now. Go do it. So give them a little bit of time, okay?
Okay.
And this has sparked a lot of people who have had memories popping up and are writing them in the text. So I can't get to all of them, but I would love to have you look at them later, Sue, because there's a lot of people wanting to connect and say hi and tell you what this is bringing up for them.
Okay, and that's another point that I do want to make. We are still collecting stories of contact, and especially if you had your first contact in 2020, but we will take contact stories from any time frame of the Ponte or other star nations. And so if you've had an experience, what we want you to do is write it down and send it to us so that we can consider it for putting out the close encounters of the Ponte 2020 stories, and update everybody so that they are aware of how many people across the planet they're visiting, what those visits are like, what those people's personal experiences are like. So we would love, if you've had any kind of an experience, to please write it down. Where do you send it? You can send it to me and I will forward it to Anita, or you can hop onto Twitter and send it to our story collector, Anita Evans, who is at Anita Evans, AnitaEvans on Twitter. And she is collating those stories, and we will pick the best of the best and publish them in the next presentation. And so we would love, love, love for you to submit any of and all of those stories to us. If you have illustrations or drawings that go with them, or photographs or evidence, so much the better. That would be fabulous, but it's not necessary. Just a well-written story about your experience would be great.
Sue,
Yes.
I actually received a story yesterday from a friend of mine, and it's a fantastic story, and I'm definitely going to be, that's going to be the next one to do. And it actually, if Radar's there, I got a quick question for him.
Okay.
Radar, tell me about McDonald's Happy Meals.
Okay, the first response back is the ones with the toys.
Yeah.
Well, all right. He's asking if you want to know the story about what makes a Happy Meal happy. Is that the story you're asking about?
No, it was a story about someone who met with Radar, and Radar brought the McDonald's Happy Meal up to them and dumped it in front of him, asking, what is a Happy Meal?
Oh, okay. All right. Because you're the second person that has shared with us questions about specifically McDonald's Happy Meals and the Ponte. This is not unique. All right.
Okay.
So part of this is because Radar is the individual at the mountain who keeps track of our social.
Oh no.
Oh, you lost. Froze.
Uh-oh, they froze.
They froze.
Oh, the psychic energy was so strong, she just got
Oh
frozen.
no.
You're beaming
McDonald's
too
Happy Meal
hard.
mystery.
Well, see, this is the point, Kevin. Would we say, hey, Ponte, can you help them with their tech? Or would they be like, no, we can't help them with their tech?
Right.
Calling all Star
Oh,
Nations to unfree Sue. Oh, I think she just popped out. She's going to pop in again. So
Okay, I'll watch for
let her
her.
rejoin.
I want to hear this. Want to hear what Radar has to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I have a hat I want to donate to Radar. I want to be like, one of the first things I do is like, once I invite them over, I'll be like, I will know that you're here if you've taken this hat. And that will be like my way of saying hello.
You wouldn't believe how many times they have moved stuff in my place, particularly my, I have an obelisk crystal, and it's been misplaced or turned sideways several times. In fact, they've actually visited me at work too, because I got crystals at work, and they have turned my crystals on me. I know it's Grayson who's doing it. Like one of my crystals, he'll just turn it, 90 degrees to see if I'm paying attention that he turned at a different angle. But they've showed up at work several times and played pranks on me.
So now, are they just being invisible when they do that, or how do they do?
Oh yeah, they've actually done it. I'll go on my lunch break and I'll come back, and one of my crystals have been moved. We have a very small office. There's less than 15 of us. Nobody touches anybody's stuff, and they do this. They do this kind of stuff.
Huh.
Okay.
I just got him.
That she's they lost connection and they're trying to get back in.
Yeah.
I'm watching for him.
Okay. That is all good though. Well, I can tell you that with your experiences, Kevin, I'm just curious, do you know if when they hide themselves, are they hiding themselves from our consciousness? Is it a mental thing they're doing with us, or is there a way that they cloak themselves? They have technology. How is it that they make themselves invisible?
I don't know, but they do physical form and also a dimensional form too. So they have done both. I threw a concert here, a pair of Pyramids on Mars concert, and I had about 5 more minutes before the show, and I just told them, make yourself comfortable, check the place out. Oh, my place is your place. And when I came out, my crystal had been displaced, the obelisk crystal, and I also have a cymatic image of a 432 hertz from Michael Lee Hill that had also been picked up, and it was on its side. So they did that within the 5 minutes that, before the show.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Kevin. Miss Sue is back, and you two were talking about radar and McDonald's. Happy
Right.
Meals, which don't stop that. That's horrible. Don't eat Happy Meals, Ponty. Come on. All right, go ahead, Sue.
All right. So the part of the curiosity was, and part of the questions that we got were, why are they called Happy Meals? What makes a Happy Meal?
Marketing.
Yes. And so then we had a discussion about the toy inside and being a child and the joy of eating out and getting your own special little meal in your own special little box and what it contains. And it's less about the food than it is about the toy or about having the fact that it's its own little special box container. And it's colorful and it's bright and it's marketed to appeal to children. But they also had discussions about French fries and various ways that even one corporation like McDonald's serves French fries in different countries. And why can you get French fries in the form of poutine in Canada, but you can't here? And all kinds of things, and ketchup versus vinegar and things along those lines. There were the common questions of somebody who'd never seen a McDonald's Happy Meal and wanted to understand, why is it significant? Why do we see advertisements for it on your television? What makes it so special? Okay.
What makes it happy?
That's right. So that was part of what we've heard before. And I suspect that Radar actually knew what Happy Meals were and did the dumping of the French fries and the whole Happy Meal out in front of someone for an effect, probably to impress the trainees that he's been dragging along with him. They each season, a new batch of approximately 50. There's 48 new trainees that come in at, and we've seen this for 3 years now for sure. The spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice are when they start and stop. And they're doing their last bits of training before they're allowed to come out and visit us in our homes. So that preparedness of what is it like to go from book learning for them, so to speak, to actual home visitation, and what are the last things that they need to learn before they do that. And so each regular staff member in their ship, and the ships, by the way, hold a complement of 6. That's an average number of individuals that will come in maximum. You could squeeze more in if you wanted, but they're designed for 6.
It's a complement of 6. It's complimentary. I like that.
No, they're not built for Sasquatches, that's for sure. They are not.
This is a whole nother thing, Sue, that we haven't even talked about Sasquatch. It's like, it's going to be Sue, Walker, Otter, Kevin part 2, where we get into the whole Sasquatch, because, oh my goodness,
That's a whole fascinating discussion.
Oh, different world.
Yep.
Yeah, it's different, but crosses over, and it's fascinating. Shane, are you having any questions on your side? I saw at one point you did put up your little icon, your little P-boy.
Yeah.
Did you want to ask anything?
I just a few quick things. When I first saw Trutie's
Druti?
Yeah, Druti, how do you pronounce it? Her picture, she looked so incredibly familiar to me. I have no idea why or anything, but it felt like she was close to me in some way. It was very strange. The other question I have is, how long does it take them to get back and forth from their planet to ours?
Fair question.
Couple months, isn't it? Like 3 months?
It depends on the transport, and it depends on if that transport is what style it is and whether or not they have other stops in the meantime. So what do I mean by that? If I gave you a 1920s Model T versus a supersonic jet, we have a different in transport speed because
Yeah.
of the age of the vehicle and the
Ah.
type of vehicle it is. The fastest we've ever heard is 9 days.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, holy cow is right.
Uh,
There are standard travel routes through the galaxy that are common routes because it's a way that was mapped out by an earlier group of explorers of some nation and found to be an easy transit way to go from point A to point B. So are there standard travel routes from here to other parts of the galaxy? And by the way, the Zeta Reticuli 2 system is not the only place in this galaxy that you will now find Ponti. They have been exploring this galaxy for a long, long, long time, millions of years. Their civilization has risen and fallen and risen and fallen and risen again a number of times. And they've been around long enough that they've seen conflict that has driven them from one system to the next a number of times. So they have a history that is extensive in this galaxy. And so when you say, how long does it take for them to get from here to home? It depends on which colony, which home world, which place that particular individual grew up. It's kind of like picking one of us off the earth and saying, where's home? Well, home for me might be New Mexico, but home for Shane is not New Mexico. And then you would have to explain why. Home for Kevin is not even in our country. And then you have to explain the difference in what's the difference between a country, one country and another. So it prompts a whole huge group of discussions, but the speed of the transport can be very quick and a very direct route, or there are 5 or 6 stops along the way, and a very indirect route. It can be a brand new vessel, or it can be a much older vessel that takes its time. So we've heard 90 days, we've heard 9 days, we've heard 9 months with some vessels. So it
Okay.
just varies.
Hey,
Are
How
they
many
ever
light years
willing
away?
to take us to with them, or do they
I
do we get a
know
ride?
I know that some of our contactees have been on the ships. Otter and I both remember being on ships more than we remember being inside the Sandia Mountain base, although he's got different memories than I do because he's got different interactions than I have. I can sketch out for you what's inside the base, but I don't know if my memories are from being there or from accessing their memories of the base because I've translated for them so much. Can you get a ride? We know a number of contactees who have gotten a ride, including Otter and I. So yes, it's very possible. But the question is, how much are you going to be allowed to remember?
Yeah.
Remember, they put you into that alpha theta receptive state when they're met with, because they're following their own protocols. Cause no fear, do no harm, leave no trace are the 3 rules that they must follow when they contact any one of us. So cause no fear means they put us into a receptive alpha theta state where they can provide a screen memory so that we don't have a fight or flight adrenaline response reaction to seeing them. And that alpha theta memory state makes it so that our memories of interacting with them are stored in our brains more like our dreams are stored rather than our waking state of consciousness is stored. It's not that your memories are gone. It's just that there's a harder access pathway. And self-hypnosis does it. Regular old visiting a hypnotherapist does it. Most of the time, your interaction memories will surface on their own.
Hey, Sue, can I make a comment to that?
Yes, please do.
So I know that I've been picked up many, many times, and I have a lot of samples in my bed, but I have really no recollection of the memories of being with them. However, I have had some confirmations from other followers of Sandia who were picked up on the Toronto run and told me about, yeah, we were back at the base and I saw you in another room and you were wearing a black shirt with a purple dress shirt. Now the thing was, I was wearing my Ponte shirt and my purple dress shirt all that entire week in the evenings. He had no idea of knowing what I was wearing. How did he know what I was wearing? So I get strange confirmations like that. And then he had also said about how he was waiting for me. I was in the hallway talking to some Ponte girls, and I was waiting. Basically, it was a memory recall when he said that you turned to them and you were saying something about funny. You mentioned that, and then when he mentioned that, then I had the memory recall of that memory. Okay, so some things have sparked the memories of, yeah, I remember that. And another one happened 2 days ago from Sue when she said, yeah, you know, that incident, the tea party, you know, the other nickname that Radar gave Grayson, and he sometimes calls him Spock Man. Now, Sue told me that, but shortly after we had the conversation, the memory recall started to come like, I know this. It was like Sue told me the first time, but somehow I knew this. So sometimes there's these memory recalls.
Almost like a deja vu.
Like a deja vu, or from what somebody else will say, saying, yeah, you said this and you were there too. So.
Wow.
That's amazing. What are their three? It's cause no fear.
No fear, do no harm,
Do no harm.
leave no trace.
And those are the same three principles that Shane uses when he goes dating. It's like that's his boundaries, his protocol. I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask.
Very experiential.
That's good.
If Drudy is handy, could she actually say if she does have a connection with Shane, if she remembers Shane or not?
Hang on, let me see.
Okay.
Hey, girl, are you listening over there?
She fly kiting.
No, she's over there. She's not going fly kiting until later this week. All right, so the response that came back is a tracking of you, Shane, since somewhere between age 15 and 17. She's showing me you as a teenager as your awakening was happening. And there is an electrical jolt.
Yeah, I was struck by
Okay.
lightning.
Okay, all right, that makes sense because
It is
once
another lightning man.
yes,
Yes,
exactly. Another lightning man. We say that because we know Clifford Mahoody's one of his sons was struck by lightning 3 times and had his abilities turned on instantly, just like yours.
Oh yeah.
Because she said that since the electrical jolt, your ability to perceive and send are much easier to spot than most Kiwahu, most Earth humans. Kiwahu is their word for us. It
Wow.
translates as blue water people. So we are
Wow.
Kiwahu. We are the blue water people. All right. So they've been tracking you, and there is a family genetics through your father's line. Father's father. Okay. But that you ought to be getting goosebumps right about now.
Yeah.
Okay. And that awareness and skill set of opening to other things beyond, questioning other things beyond you started for you about age 15, but it's the family genetics. And then once the electrical jolt happened, you became
Wide
easy to spot,
open.
easy to find, easy to hear, easy to connect with and be understood. And so because you were unusual in that fact amongst all of the Earth humans, all of the Kiwahu, they kept tabs on you more. The emotional connection you feel to Drudy specifically is because one of her ways of introducing herself to males of our species is to calm them by getting that almost unconditional love feeling, that hugged feeling
Yeah.
of they refer to it as like a hug of light. I know that sounds a little corny, but
No.
it's almost like you're wrapped in a cocoon of all of those unconditional loving feel goods. And that's her first introduction of herself to many men across the planet. And that should feel familiar to you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
So, yes, confirmation in multiple ways.
Wow.
So
Well, I
Earth
know when I
boys
was
are
a
easy.
teenager,
Would
when
say that again, Shane? Sorry, I couldn't.
when I was a teenager, I felt like I was going through psychic puberty. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah,
I would see
Yep.
things that weren't there, but they were there days ago, type of thing.
What age were you when you were struck by lightning?
32 or 33, 7/7 of 97.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 32, almost 33.
Okay. Yep. Our friend, and when we refer to him as Lightning Man, Clifford Mahoody's son, when he was struck by lightning, he got completely turned on also. And in fact, we have seen him connect so strongly with the lightning and thunder being pantheon that when he prays and when he telepathically connects, because that's what prayer does, is telepathically connects him with that. We've heard him pray in his native Zuni language in our dining room around our kitchen table. And when he's done, suddenly a huge clap of thunder happens right then.
Wow.
We've had that happen twice. And so we went to his home to work with him there. And when he started praying, the door to his home immediately blew open with a huge gust of wind and sent a 5-gallon pail sailing across the room. It was so strong. And we have seen things occur
flying
around,
objects, all
yeah,
that
around
stuff.
Lightning Man that are amazing. So we understand what kind of way things can get turned on, what sorts of things can get turned on when you are struck by lightning. And so
Wow.
hopefully you're not having other medical issues as a result of that lightning strike.
Well, I am, but I get through them every day. I mean,
We understand that
memory issues and pain, but
too. We
I
sympathize.
work through it. Thank
We
you.
sympathize. Anything else that you want to know?
Wow, I don't know what to ask. I would just love to meet her face to face at some point, be able
All right.
to communicate with her.
And I think that you echo what everybody that's here in the chat would like to know how to do. What do you need to do to meet them personally? If you have not already, go to officialfirstcontact.com and download the free 285-page Telepathy 101 primer. It's a PDF file. It's available in more than a dozen languages now. If you don't want to read it yourself, you can listen to it on YouTube. There is a read aloud version in 3 parts, read aloud by Diana from Divine Fractal. And so all you have to do is Google Telepathy 101 Primer Part 1, and it should bring it up on YouTube. All right.
Yeah.
Study that with feedback for 100 days. If you are used to being a person who's meditated, if you've been struck by lightning like Shane has, if you've had other circumstances like you've had previous contact and you've had previous telepathic experience, it probably won't take you the 100 days.
Practice with a friend.
Yes, but practice with feedback and you'll have better success at the very beginning if you practice with someone you know well, because you already have a rapport with that person. But you can practice with your cat or your dog. You can practice at work by nudging somebody telepathically saying, would you bring me an extra pencil? And have a coworker stop by your desk and say, oh, I brought you a pencil. And they may not know why.
Mind control.
Exactly. But you need feedback to see and experience what does it feel like in your body for you to be accurate telepathically. That's what you're trying to train your body. This is a skill like any other skill, guys. This is not woo, okay?
Right.
This is just a skill. If you came to me and said, I want to learn to play the keyboard, want to learn to play the piano, you would think it was absolutely normal. If I sent you home with a workbook and said, okay, practice this first song every day for 20 or 30 minutes a day, and then in a week come back and we'll go to lesson 2.
Mhm.
Well, this is like that.
It's like
There-
rehearsing for a play or something.
You are training your brain and developing new neural pathways so that your brain automatically goes to that pathway when you want to do XYZ. You don't have to stop and think, how do I do this again? Okay. How do I get started again? What did they say again? Oh, what am I supposed to do? You will learn your telepathy best if you know how you learn anything best. Whatever your learning style in school was, whether you were an auditory learner and you memorize things best by hearing them, whether you're a visual learner and learn things best by seeing them, whether you're a kinesthetic learner and you had to have your hands on it, or whether you're a spatial learner and you have to be in motion and can't be sitting still to learn. Whatever your method of learning is, that's how you'll learn your telepathy best. Work with that style instead of fighting against it. So if you're a kinesthetic person and you have to be in motion, don't try and sit down and sit still to meditate. Meditate in motion, for God's sakes. If you're a visual person, keep track of your peripheral vision. Keep track of the things that flash and catch your attention and then are gone. If you're an auditory person, you're listening for the vibrations or the feels through your body, as well as what your ears are picking up. You're fading, aren't you?
What? No, I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, start with the Telepathy 101 primer. In the back of it, Tani, who wrote the primer that we translated, has put the protocols that they suggest for contacting them to invite them to come to your home. Go through what she said about the protocols. For the most part, be really polite. Theirs is a culture that is an extremely, extremely polite society and an extremely honest one.
And a deep emotional.
They're very, very emotionally connected. Their emotional connections are more profound than ours are, which is why sometimes it just sends chills through your whole body to connect with them because
Okay.
it's so strong. But get yourself used to that. Sometimes connecting telepathically feels really, really weighty and really tires your brain out after 10 minutes because you're handling a more massive amount of simultaneous input than you are in regular everyday conversation. You're getting the emotions, you're getting the visual, you're getting the auditory, you're getting the history, you're getting the connected side thoughts, you're getting the side connected people. And you're getting all of these in a chunk all at the same time in a way that we're not used to in our everyday conversation. So it takes your body and your brain time to get used to that. Don't be
Wow.
afraid of it. It's not scary. Kevin can attest and Otter can attest. It can be very tiring when you
Huh.
first get started.
Okay.
Well, and this is the great thing is that Sue's going to be there for the first 30 days of everyone doing this challenge to be able to walk you through any of those questions. And if you have any questions about how to do it, I mean, also she's one woman, so she's going to do her best with that. She's not, but I want everyone to know that. And then also like Shane and ideally Lynda and I are going to be doing this. We have each other to lean on. Hey, what about all the people in the chats? Are you guys chatting with each other? Maybe you want to tap somebody on the shoulder in the chat and say, would you be my telepathy buddy? And yeah, and I know that Miss Lynda has a question. And also there's also an extra bonus that I forgot to share with everybody about everybody who enters the contest. People have been entering now that we successfully shared the link, but everybody who enters, whether you win one of the portraits or the CD today or not, Sue's going to have a gift that she's going to give of her own choosing to everybody that, an offering to everybody that signs up. So I want everyone to make mental note of that as well. So you're all going to be winners one form or another. Okay, Miss Lynda, I saw the manatee pop up here a while ago.
Yes.
What you want to say?
I'm going to do my best to group questions because we've gone through several of them. So if
so
I miss
great.
yours, I will apologize right now, but I'm doing my best.
You're doing great.
A lot of people wanted to know, now that I've moved it, how long do the Ponti live, and who gets selected to be a trainee, or does everyone go through the program? And is their time faster, in a faster mode than ours? For example, is one of our days 30 minutes for them?
Okay, that's 3 questions. So give her.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
So one of the first ones was, how do they choose the trainees? The trainees get years of training before they ever arrive on planet about our planet. So to my knowledge,
I think you need to break down the age groups first,
Oh.
so people have a better understanding how it flows.
okay, so of the trainee age groups?
Yeah,
All right, so some of the trainees are young people just out of school, and they spent their focus in their sort of a school system, if you want to, their education system,
there's
in learning
30-some odd
about
years
Earth,
old then.
specifically because it was known that Earth is about to go through its official first contact, and that this planet is going through major physical planetary changes. All right, there's so we know that they've done a lot of work before they ever get to our planet. They are each assigned to a duty here on Earth, whether that's an information station duty or a regular Ponti facility elsewhere. They get assigned to doing that. And so the trainees that are here at the Sandia Mountain were all chosen based on this station's need for, geez, do we need another entomologist? Do we need a couple more geology people? Do we need another art expert to help MIM? What do we need at our station? So they fulfill trainee needs based on this station's need, just like any business or any facility does.
and then the other part was how long do they live and their time frame compared to ours?
Time frame, as far as we can perceive, is their 24-hour day is very similar to our 24-hour day as far as how it feels to them. How long do they live? Average lifespan is 400 years, 450 with good health, closer to 350 if they spend more than 20 years here. It shortens their life.
Okay, I have another question. Jillian asks, when I see images clairvoyantly while I'm meditating of different ET races, how does that happen? Like, how do they show me their images? Is it me astral traveling or them projecting images?
Or there's a third
Or,
option. When you access anything telepathically, because you are connected to the collective consciousness as a sentient being yourself, you may be posing a question that travels through the collective consciousness, and someone there responds with an image or information for you. It doesn't have to specifically be, I have a question about the Ponti, and the Ponti respond. You can pose a question about the Ponti, and somebody else in the collective consciousness who knows the answer goes, oh, I'll tell you, I know all about that. All right.
okay, and then are there any SNs or other worlds where the population is as widely varied as our cultures, clothing, food, language, etc., as we on Earth are?
All of them. All of
the
them.
above.
Every single star nation that we have been introduced to, they tell us, please do not judge an entire star nation by the dress of one person, the actions of one person, the words of one person from that nation, because all of them are as wide and varied in their culture as we are in our culture. And now you're talking cross star systems spread out all over the galaxy for a number of these nations. And so there are even planetary twists. Like we have, what's a good example? If I go to Australia, they have a different accent to their English language than I do. If I go to England, there is a different accent to their English language than I have. If I go to Canada, there's a different accent there as well, different word choices. But we all
Mexico,
speak the same language. And so there are different flavors on a theme. You can detect those same flavors on a theme and know by listening to someone, oh, you're from the Pleiades area. Didn't you grow up such and such a place? Just because they're familiar, like we're familiar with accents. So they can identify each other's origins or places of travel or genetics, not just by what do they look like, but what do they sound like? How do they act? What's their word choice? Just like we do. And so we are constantly asking questions about their culture and hearing them say, well, where Drudy grew up, they did it this way, but where Radar grew up, it was like this instead. And we just take it all in without any question because we know it's going to be wide and varied. And that's part of the fun of the dialogue with them.
And one question from me is, I finally get to ask one. So
Yay.
my question is, I've heard things since I was a child, and I've tried my best. We want, as a species, I think, to identify, to label what we're seeing and the source of that information. Is there a way to know whether it's something collective? Are things perhaps that we think are our guides or our guardian angels actually Contactee or some other intelligence communicating with us? How do we decipher that?
All right. So the very best thing you can do is ask. All right. It's just like if somebody new to you walked in your front door, your first question is, who are you? Ask. You may not get an immediate verbal response back. You may get images back. You may get a vibe or an emotional feeling back. You may not get a name initially because some star nations are hesitant to provide their names or their personal names. So we don't know how the response is going to come back at you, but you don't have anything to lose and everything to gain by asking. Who are you? Where are you from?
And because we are able to tap into that, are there things that people need to do, or is there any concern that there are bad players out there that can take advantage of this newness for someone? And
Sure.
How do we handle that?
Okay, you handle it again the same way as if somebody you didn't know walked into your house. If somebody walks in your front door and they feel nasty, they feel threatening, they feel negative, your first reaction would be, get out of here, get out of my house, right? This is my house, not your house. Get the heck out. And your house, your rules is what we tell all contactees. If you sense somebody that is not to your liking, first, make sure that you're not jumping to conclusions based on your startled response, because you have to look at their actions and see, have they really done anything that is fearful or to make me afraid or to make me feel threatened?
Or
Now,
they're just sitting there with your mother drinking a cup of tea.
right. So you don't know, just because they've showed up does not necessarily mean that it's positive or negative. Don't assume, but do trust your first instincts. All of us are programmed to know danger when we feel it, okay? We all have that sense of, I need to get out of here, I need to get out of here now, or they need to go. All right, your house, your rules. If you sense anything, I don't care if it's a Star Nation being, a ghost, a multi-dimensional being, if you sense somebody that does not feel right to you, and it's your house, order them out.
Yeah.
Order them
time.
out. You get the heck out of here. You get out of here now. You have no permission to be here. You cannot cross my threshold ever again. Try that first. All right, that's always the first line of defense. Most individuals who really aren't that strong will exit when ordered out. That's not a hard and fast rule among the entire pantheon of possibilities, but it is the very first rule of thumb to try. If you ever encounter something negative that will not listen to your request or order to get the heck out, then you need help with somebody who's more experienced than you are. And you need to decipher what it is and how to deal with it. And that's when you try something yourself and it does not work and it's a negative, then you need to reach to somebody who has more experience, whether or not you're reaching to a demonologist, somebody more experienced with Star Nation stuff, or whatever it is. Find somebody who has years of experience in dealing with something that you're dealing with for the first time ever. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I have one last question, and then I don't know where we are on time, but my question is probably way over. So with all that's happening in the United States with our elections, do they have advice for people? Because there's a lot of anxiety going on for people during this time.
They have been very, very careful online to stay out of the political arena, and we have too. And there's one very valid reason for that. We have associated with Official First Contact and with Otter and I, a nonprofit now called the Infinite Voice Project. And Infinite Voice is their translation for the word telepathy. So if you have a telepathic rapport, you have infinite voice. Okay. So the Infinite Voice Project in New Mexico, when you're associated with a nonprofit, the board members of that nonprofit cannot make public political statements, or they will yank your nonprofit status real fast. So we are avoiding talking about anything political because of that. What we can tell you is when the Ponte make right-minded decisions about things, they think about the consequences of their choices 7 generations into the future. If you think in terms of the election that's upcoming, think in terms of all of the candidate choices you have. If you had to say to your future generations, 7 generations into the future, I chose this person because of XYZ, and I feel good about my decision. Who would you choose and what? Why? All right. So think in terms of which candidates are right-minded and which are there that will be the most positive for future generations of yours. And that would be their advice.
If you think neither one of them would fit that bill, that's okay too. If you are just believing
there's always a write-in option, tilt them for president.
Right. There we go.
That's great. One thing, whenever I tune into Druti or I see Druti, and she just always has this like Mother Mary presence to me. Like I always feel Mother Mary with her.
Yeah. When I tap into Druti, you're right. I think it's the headscarf that does it more than anything else. Yeah. When I tap into Tini or Teeny,
it's a childhood familiar.
Yeah.
Going back. Yeah. Way back deep.
It is. It is. Tini always feels like this grandmother teacher who is very no nonsense. And if you get on her bad side, look out. All of the Ponte are individuals as far as their personalities are concerned. And they're all wonderful to get to know. And you have all kinds of different discussions with every single one of them because they all have their own likes and dislikes. So it's been fascinating getting to know the various personality types of them. And again, if you want to know, go to what they've said and you can get a feel for them. It's not that hard to do. It really is. Don't make it harder than it is.
Right.
Just dialoguing with people. They are human too. just a variation on a theme.
We have a lot of people online who are inviting them to our taco party because we all decided tacos sounded very good and they are willing to make fish tacos.
Shane's got a question. Let's listen
I
to
have
Shane hop in.
one last question. Sue, when you were talking about my father's line, did you mean that they were psychic or had some kind of contact with the
Contact,
Contactee?
where they've been tracked, if I had to name, if your family line has been followed through generations,
Mhm.
Gertie said yes, but it's the father's line.
I see.
So
Okay.
does that mean that you're necessarily psychic? No, that was an added bonus.
Wow. Okay.
Conscious would
Thank
be
you.
more of your family was more conscious in many of its family members than a lot. You are more conscious. You're more think outside the box person.
More like your grandfather, think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Boy, that opened my eyes up.
Wow.
What
Thank you
would
so
Otter
much.
say?
more like Shane is more like his grandfather.
Than his father.
Wow.
That's he wouldn't be. Yeah, he's not like his father at all.
That's 6 generations.
Mhm.
Wow.
I wanted to also just I don't want this to stop. We have to here in a minute lean into going into the to the prizes. But I wanted to ask you all. Kevin's had experiences with this with the whales. I you know like I like to think of whales as 5-dimensional beings in 3-dimensional bodies, which I guess is true for all of us to a certain degree. But I feel like they've come from some other place. Like when I tune into the whales, they feel like they are from another world. And like you said, Sue, like in our original chat with you, like 75% of the ETs that are visiting the planet are in the ocean. They're not physical. So I'm wondering how, if this is true for the whales and how they show up in this category. What do y'all have to say about that?
Kevin, do you want to start with what you know and then I'll pick it up?
From what I know, the whales, their souls are very ancient, very old. They've been here for a long, long time, and they're staying. They're trying to help transition humans to a greater consciousness and awakening. So they are very, very old souls. There's some pods that have been around for for a long, long time. I can attest to the fact that their language is extremely emotional, very powerful. When I wrote the whale song, it took everything out of me to play that. And when I recorded the original demo of it, it was kind of funny. Hale Mednick actually used that in his documentary, the 5D Ascension documentary. And I was like, oh my gosh, I sent you the wrong one. I was supposed to send you the studio version. I sent you the raw one. That's got Frisco here walking in the background. And Hale actually told me that Sasquatch preferred the original. So it's like, okay, I guess that kind of worked out. So
That sounds.
but yeah, but the other language is it's complex. It's very emotional, and I'm still just tapping into it. I'm just scratching the surface, and I have so much more to learn.
What we know about what they've said about the cetacean nations. Well, first of all, this is not the only world, not the only water world that you can find cetaceans on of various kinds and sizes. Some worlds, the cetaceans are much larger than we have here, and other worlds not so much. There are worlds that have freshwater cetaceans more than our world does, but the stories and the songs that our cetaceans sing are they tell the oldest, most historically accurate stories on the planet, because they have been through a number of ice ages that have knocked our civilization as Earth humans back to the beginning over and over and over again. And yet they continue on. extraterrestrial nations that visit Earth that are aquatic nations come to speak with our whale and cetacean nations. There are a number of species in our oceans right now that were not from here originally. And, or you can find on other worlds very easily. We have heard from the Planetary that they are rescuing some of the whale nations and the bards. That's how they refer to them, the singers, the bards, the storytellers. They are rescuing the bards' pods or groups, tribes, and relocating some of them because there are parts of our oceans that have changed already so much that their ecosystem niche and their food supply is in jeopardy and or makes the whales sick. The other thing that's happened is there are a number of cetaceans whose eardrums have been shattered, absolutely shattered by our underwater weapons testing and subsonic sound burst testing. And when a whale goes deaf while they are telepathic, they can't navigate as easily. And so it confuses their navigation. The oceans and the salinity and the taste of our water is changing right now as we speak on this planet. I don't know if any of you keep up with the earth changes, but we don't have any Arctic ice right now for the first time in our recorded history. It's gone. The North Pole is not under ice right now, guys. It's
Wow.
never done that before.
Hasn't
And so
been
the
for a couple
salinity
years.
taste in the water and the speed at which the water travels and the currents that keep our planet going are changing extremely rapidly right now, which is another reason why many of the pods of cetaceans have been relocated so that their songs and the history is not lost. That's what we know.
That's so intense.
It is intense.
It's
The first time I heard Kevin's whale song, and by the way, if you haven't gone to his Pyramids on Mars and listened to the whale song, make a note of yourself, bookmark it, do it later when you've got time to feel the emotions of it. It'll bring you to tears. I mean, the minute, oh yeah, the minute we played it, the very first time we heard it, we played it for the gang. Not only did Otter and I end up crying spontaneously, but the Planetary immediately, the very first words that we heard back from them were, he got it, he got it, he got it, he got it. So it's very well done. I highly recommend it.
I just want to connect these pieces together because here's Kevin using his music and his telepathy to be a channel for the whales and for the star nations and that capacity. Shane's asking, how can I be of service? How can I be an ambassador? He wants to know that role. And Kevin's a perfect example of somebody who surrendered his gift to a higher purpose and became a clear channel. And that's what Shane can do, what Lynda can do, what I can do. You know, it's like what we can all do in our own way, whether it's working with children, if it's cooking meals for people, if it's you're the best hug giver in the world. Like it is for you to show up and let who you are be the purest, truest expression of yourself. And you will naturally align to being an ambassador for whoever that you are called to be an ambassador for. What do you say about that?
You're right. You don't have to have a huge education. You don't have to be a famous author. You don't have to be the leader of a country. You just have to poignantly and honestly be your best, truest, most right-minded self. And the more brightly, if I can use that term, you express yourself, the more genuine you are, the more potent that expression is. The more you stand out to them. And so they're looking for, you can get a feel for who they like and who they don't like, just like you get a feel for what gathering would you like to go to. Do you want to go visit a group of pessimistic people, a group of people that are angry, a group of people who can't tell the truth about their own actions or own up to what they've done? Or do you want to go to somebody who's optimistic and joyful to be around and makes you laugh all the time? Which party would you rather go to?
Right.
They're the same way. So share that best side of you, whatever it is. And even if it's just humorous conversation. One of the Twitter followers in North Carolina said, just out of curiosity, why did they choose me? Well, because he responded, and he responded as himself with humor and likability and interest and intrigue. And he just had quick-witted interactions. There was no huge, big one skill set. He was just a likable guy. And they wanted to get to know him. So be that likable guy. Be that likable person. And don't think that you have to be anything more special than just who you are at your very best core.
Yeah, I think it is, we make things a lot more complicated than what they need to be. And a lot of times, like, you know, what they say.
Radar said, keep it simple, stupid.
I like to say, keep it simple, sweetie.
Point taken.
Okay.
Point taken.
Because
I did have a question really quick. Are there any updates regarding official first contact?
ooh, great
That's
question.
a very good question. All right. We know that this whole reduced travel and interaction amongst each other and the pandemic virus also affected their daily routine for several reasons. One, they did not wish to travel from one of our homes to another and be a part of the spread of the virus. Two, they had questions from other human body type star nations asking if the virus was going to affect them. Was it communicable to the Ia? Was it communicable to the Jalahu? Was it communicable to the Ponti? And they had to go through all of the testing to verify one way or another. So they had to not only study the virus themselves, but study the virus's response on 75 to 80 separate star nations that visit this planet every day. That's the average number, by the way. Now I lost my train of thought because I was listening to Otter coughing.
It's okay.
Take me back to where we were.
Talking about the star nations that we're visiting, and what was the question again, Lynda?
First contact, any update?
Thank you, official first contact. So because the pandemic threw them for a loop and changed the way that they visit us and interact with us with their protocols, just to keep everybody across the board, whether it's non-Earth people or Earth people, safe. We have had discussions with them about, does that change the timeline or the manner in which official first contact will come down? All right. And what we've heard back is that, yes, it does have an effect. And yes, Tilcom has come back from a number of meetings where the group of star nations that visit our planet have had that very discussion amongst themselves. Do they still want to do a meeting of all 32 nations that would like to participate right now, all at one time? Should the Ponti come down individually first to publicly be seen and then slowly open up to other nations? So that change of the original plan was for all 32 nations to come down in the same ship to be introduced at the same meeting may not necessarily take place or in the manner in which they originally had designed it. So that's still in discussion phase with them right now. They are going to probably be in discussion with that from now until at least the winter solstice. Okay. And then after that, I'm guessing that we will hear what the decision making is about all of that. So is it going to have an effect? Probably. Do we know the final outcome yet? Not yet. We keep asking and we keep being informed that it is in current discussion, and they have not come to an agreement themselves yet. So that's where that's at. But great question. As soon as we know any changes, we put it out there. We don't try and edit or hold back. As soon as we know anything different, we'll let all of you know something different.
And would you say, Sue, that the more that we become telepathic and the more that we as a people, because not everyone's gonna, go through the transition. This is a big thing. It's like the Earth's going through a change, the planet's going through a change. Line up with the transformation. Don't resist the transformation. The more that you embrace your telepathic abilities, the more that you embrace your psychic gifts, the more you embrace your natural gifts. If you let yourself do that, then you will be in tune with the Earth as she changes. You'll be in tune with the transformation. You'll be in tune with the star nations, with the whale nations. Like, you'll have an attunement so you can work with the transformation as opposed to being buffeted by it or smacked around by it. And this whole thing of like, when does disclosure happen? My thought is, Sue and Kevin, and you guys would have to be the one to say if it's true or not, is that the more that the humanity is awakened up, is awake and awakened to their gifts, to their true nature, that helps facilitate first contact. Would that be true? You got to unmute yourself there.
I had to mute because Otter has been going through a coughing fit, unfortunately.
Sorry, Otter.
So we didn't want you to be inundated by all of his deep cough.
No. Sorry,
Anyway,
Otter.
yes, I do think that that's true. The more in tune we are with ourselves and with the other things that are always going on around us 24/7, 365, the more we are also in tune with Gaia and those earth changes. That said, I think it would be a very good idea to encourage all of the friends of the Contactee to follow and teach themselves more about what's going on with the earth changes, so that when the Contactee talk about it, they have an idea of what they're talking about. So if you don't know what a magnetosphere of a planet is, find out, teach yourself. If you don't understand that there's a correlation between coronal mass ejections and what's happening with our satellites and our communication systems, it's time to learn that. If you don't know that the Contactee are currently following the changes that are occurring earthquake-wise around the planet and the movement of the North American Craton plate, because it's been part of the discussion recently, catch yourself up. They are trying to give us information so that we are more prepared. And that information can be wide and varied. It can be everything from the speed of the North Atlantic current is changing in this particular location by Norway. Are you paying attention? To if they see a scientist or a facility on track with some research they're doing, they will verify or say something about, yep, we agree with that.
Okay.
Just to give a confirmation. So it helps to understand not only a little bit about the Contactee and their telepathic instruction to us, but about some of the other important things that they're talking with about us as well, because it's going to affect all of us, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we're on a changing planet that they can't stop the change and we can't completely stop the change, but we can
slow it down,
connect with it enough that we can stay one step ahead, listen to our first inner musings about it and the very first information we get, and try and stay prepared and try and find our tribe and help each other
Yes.
understand what those changes are and how to handle them, because none of them are easy.
Right.
None of them are easy.
They're all, it's going to be a massive disruption. But again, like my true sense about this is that if we are tuned in, we will be working with the transitions as opposed to being, there's still some might be very challenging, but we'll be prepared for the challenge. And if we have practiced our telepathy primer and we've gotten our abilities down, when those things happen, we can reach out to each other mentally and be like, are you okay? Like
Yes.
all of our electricity's down. I can't talk to you, but I can reach out to you mentally. Are you okay?
Right.
Where are
That's
you
right.
at?
It's
It's
exactly right.
very practical to
It's
learn the
very-
primer.
And so in order to get to the place where you trust that very first thing that you pick up back, when you send out that ping, that's what we call that telepathic question of, are you okay? Hi, how are you? How you doing? When you get a ping or you send a ping, being able to trust what occurs and how accurate you are, that's where that telepathy practice comes in. And that's where we're going to bring you back to that 30-day challenge of
Yes.
100 days that they recommend that you practice your telepathy. We're going to get you started with the first 30 days. And so every day for the next 30 days, starting tomorrow on Twitter and on Facebook, Otter and I will tune in with the Ponte and be paying attention to your questions and be talking about, all right, hey, what's the thing that you need to do today? Or where is everybody at? Or who's got questions, so that they'll help you facilitate that first beginning learning step stuff. Okay.
Huge. Okay, let's fold into showing the pictures because we've been going for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, and we'll go through these just real quick
Okay.
because they're not complicated stories. First of all, Lynda, do we have everybody who signed up to
Miss,
for
I
the
believe so. I have been prodding and prompting and saying time is ticking, now or never.
all right, so
Get it in.
until the end of my description of these three pictures to finish signing
You
up.
want to give them a little time after you show them the pictures,
I will.
because that's part of what they want to see.
Right. Okay. All right.
Otter's going to tell you how. Now,
Okay.
look, so also what's going to happen so everybody understands is as you've signed up, our social media siren in the background is putting numbers 1 through, whatever, down by your names. She's going to pop on after we've shown the pictures. Courtney's going to pop on with her screen. She's going to do a random number generator. It's going to pop up a number, and then she's going to tell Sue via our chat who that picture is going to, because Courtney will see it. We'll all see the number to know that it's fair, and then Courtney will see the number. She'll know who it goes to. She'll chat Sue. Sue will tell us the winner after each one. So we'll do first the 3 pictures, and then we'll do the 3 pictures. We'll do the CD. Like the 4th thing is going to be the CD. So again, we're going to do it 4 times, 3 times for the pictures, once for the CD, and voila, that's what I have to say. Go, Miss Sue.
There's a question on there that someone has a question about. It says, under what username on Facebook? I think that's the question. So you're asking?
Oh,
go ahead, Sue.
no, you've got it. You've got the link.
Yeah, it is it's the Facebook page. I will actually pop it into there. It is for the Ponte. It's called the Sandia Mountain Ponte Crew. Sandia Mountain Ponte Crew. So that is what it is. And I'm going to very deftly pop it into the chat as we speak. Boom, there it is. You got it now. I'm multitasking. I'm some kind of genius. Okay. I do it all.
So yes, the Sandia Mountain Ponte Crew is a private Facebook group that you'll answer just a few questions and be accepted into the group. If you mention at all that you've been listening to this podcast, we'll automatically help you join the group. That's not a problem. And so that's the group chat that we will be sharing on Facebook, and the @Sandia Wisdom site, if you want to follow that on Twitter.
I'm going to pop that in next.
Talking about the 30-day challenge on Twitter, and you can choose either platform. All right, so what are you gonna win? Early on, and by the way, I got started drawing the Sandia Mountain crew because Tilcom came to me one day and said, the treaty that we've signed does not allow us to provide you or take photographs or provide you with photographs or video or technology. We have a signed agreement that was a 50-year contract lasting from August of 1971 to August of 2021. And so until then, they have been abiding by their promise of not providing photographs or video of themselves or allowing that to be easily
No
filmed.
Johnny Carson show.
No Johnny Carson show yet. However, Tilcom specifically came to me and he said, our treaty does not mention anything about having a contactee or an experiencer draw who or what happened to them. That is permitted. And so I hadn't drawn anybody in 40 years, not since I was in high school. At age 17 was the last time, you can see all this gray hair. The last time.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Swear to God.
Oh, yeah. Famous last words. But that was the last time I drew portraits of people. And so Tilcom assigned me an art teacher and I began drawing the Pontee. The first drawings that I came out with were very crude compared to what you see now. But I have never had a professional art lesson ever. And not since I was maybe park and recreation in first grade. That was the last time I had an art class, honest to God. And so my teachers in all of my artwork have been Pontee. That's it. So they've been very good teachers.
No,
And
Sasquatch too.
oh, well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Sasquatch have helped as well.
Yeah,
But-
they'll get upset.
So when I get things right, they let us know. When I don't get things right, they let us know. But the artwork that we're going to auction off, we have a small, a medium, and a large piece. The first one is a small one.
Ooh,
Tilcom. And it's
Tilcom.
8-inch by 8-inch black and white original. And Tilcom was trying to get me to get their noses correct and the nose cartilage right. This one I don't feel is as accurate as some of the others, which is one of the reasons why it did not go out and become published on Twitter. I have some artwork pieces that as I look at them now, I can see where they really needed to be improved. But this
Sue,
is
don't
what the ori-
apologize. It's
Okay.
beautiful. It's
All right, so-
wonderful. I love it. I want it. I take it in a heartbeat. So that's
Okay. All right. So this is Tilcom, and at the time I was studying facial structure and eye size and depth and lip size and chin size and head format size. And so that's Tilcom was working with me. This image is probably 2.5 years old. Okay.
love it.
So that's
No, it's more like 3.5.
3.5. Is it? Was it
Yeah.
that long ago? He knows better than I do.
Love
But
it.
anyway, that's the small one. That'll be the first one.
I can think of a title for that one too.
Oh yeah.
It's
What?
Tilcom has been known to sound like Anthony Hopkins, and when I see that picture, all I can think is, "Hello, Clarice."
Oh, no.
Oh God. Oh God.
Okay.
I have to explain that one to the trainees. That one takes me too long. All right. So the second image is this one,
Oh.
and this was one of the first illustrations of a gal by the name of Kit, and Kit is their teaching in dream state expert. So what her forte is when she talks to the trainees, she instructs them how to best instruct us when we are asleep and doing those full downloads with us. So
Beautiful.
that's Kit.
So
And
soft.
this, yes, she's a lovely gal.
Yeah. I can feel her.
Very, very easy to talk to,
Yeah.
very gentle with what she does.
Yeah.
That looks Photorealistic, unbelievable.
It's
And the
gorgeous.
image in back of Kevin is Drudy, by the way. When I
Yeah.
do these pictures, one of the things that happens is as I'm sketching them, I'll work with it and work with it and work with it, and I will know that I'm close to getting done and having it correct when the eyes come alive for me. They might blink, they might wink, they might twinkle, they might somehow shift or move. But when the eyes of an image that I'm sketching come alive for me, I know I'm on track. That happened the other day when you were interviewing Kevin on your show on Thursday, Katman. And I was watching it because I couldn't watch it live because we were doing something else. I watched it in the wee hours of the morning when they had me up. And near the end of the show, Kevin was talking and there was probably 10 or 12 minutes of your show left. So it was that close to the end. I glanced up at the Drudy image behind Kevin that you see here in this image right now, and it blinked at me. And I went,
Wow.
oh. And Kevin asked, well, can we see it on film? And I said, I don't know. I didn't go back and rewind it to check, but I got it. I think it was kind of a
Interaction.
just a telepathic interaction for me to know
Yeah.
that what they were talking about was on track. The
Nice.
final image is the biggest one. And I think this is, did I say it 12 by 17?
I'll have to go look at it. Go ahead and show it. I'll go look that up. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh my God.
So this is Tani. And Tani is the gal that dictated the Telepathy 101 primer. This was one of the first versions of when you see a Ponte with age to them, how does that change their skin? How does that change the folds around their eyes? How does a Ponte face reflect age? And that's what I was working on when I did this one. So this is Teeny or Tani. This is your Telepathy 101 primer author.
That is gorgeous. And I'm trying to get we'll get the size down here in a minute.
I
That's
think I
okay.
sent it to you on one of the originals. If I had to guess, it looks like about 12 by 17, something like
Yeah.
that. That's
Just let
about
that
the
load in. And then let's let Kevin pop in and talk about the CD that he's giving away.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Sure. So this is a copy. This is Edge of the Blank, my latest CD that came out last December. And
Tell them about the name, Kevin.
tell them about
The name of the CD. Where'd you come up with that?
Oh, yeah. An Edge of the Black, that was given to me by the Ponte. So, and you know, to explain what the Edge of the Black is, that is their explanation of where creativity comes from. You know, Teeny's phrase was, you know, actually I'll just read it off the back here. Go sit on the edge of the black of the universe and turn around. Listen for the next song to be sung to you. So that is, you know, when you slow your brain waves down to a more of an alpha state and you connect with the music, basically you're connecting with the collective consciousness and you're creating together. And that was the whole theme of this CD.
Nice. And you're going to sign it. You're going to autograph it.
Yep, absolutely.
So people can forge your checks. That's good. That's great. And then, so 12 by 17, Sue, that was the size on the last one.
And how old is she, Sue?
Tani is not quite Tilcom's age, but she's close. They're
She's so sweet.
not quite that much. Tilcom was born in our year 1777. She is slightly younger than that by maybe 10, 15 years.
Wow.
Well, what's the time difference between 2020 and 1777? That's Tilcom's age.
Okay.
And subtract about 12, 15 years, and that's Teeny's age.
Okay.
There is one older crew member, older than Tilcom and considerably older than he is by more than 50 years, and that would be their fleet master and that, or head mechanic, Fleet Master combination, and that would be Dell. He's the oldest one that we've interacted with, and he's been through several Sandia Mountain station managers, not just one. He's just an old standard there.
Okay, so thank you for that. Shane's gonna have to take off. Yeah, we went over about an hour longer than we expected, Shane. No big deal.
Okay.
So thank you for being here with
Thank
us.
you. Good to meet you, Shane.
Thank
Glad
you so much. It was great meeting all of you.
Yep, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Take care.
Yeah,
All
all right. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Love you.
Shane.
Bye.
All right, so how do we do this number generator?
Okay, so
Matching who to what?
yes, Courtney is going to come online here. She's muted herself. And we're also going to have, I'm wondering, Kevin, how many songs are on your CD?
There's 10 songs.
10 songs, sweet. Okay, just great. I just want people to know as much as they can about what they're signing into. So we're going to wait for Miss Courtney to come online. And she's going to be the one with the generator. Again, this is the first time we've ever done this. So, okay, she started sharing her screen and we are going to mute ourselves. So it's 1 to 14. That is the amount of people we have signed in, and I'm gonna mute myself, and her screen's gonna start in. I don't know that she has any music she can play, but muting myself, hopefully you'll be able to see Courtney's screen predominantly. Okay. Court, make sure you turn your sound on though, okay? Okay, so the first winner is 2. The number is 2. Courtney's gonna look and she's gonna see who 2 is, and she's gonna do a little group chat and let us know who that is. And then Sue will announce that winner. Oh, you are so lucky. I just saw the winner. Okay, you go ahead, pop on Sue, and announce who the winner is. You gotta unmute yourself.
All right, and so I somehow missed in the chat the name.
Oh, it's down at the bottom. You see, look at, if you
And
click on
so-
chat at the bottom of your screen.
Hang on just a second. Let me find out. Ah, all right. So the winner of the small 8x8 Tilcum is Jillian Leonard. Jillian, I will thank you. Everybody applaud. I will need you to get a hold of me and let me know where you wish me to send this. And by the way, to all the winners and to you, Katman, if you can put my Gmail in the chat, that way people know where to write me to let me know where to mail this to. And so my Gmail is very simple. It's psychicsue@gmail.com. The only thing you have to remember is I do not put an E on Sue. So PSYCHICSU@gmail.com. And Jillian, this is for you.
Congratulations.
All right, so let's do number 2, our medium-sized image of Kit.
Okay, so we will go quiet and Miss Court will do the thing.
Number 5. And who do we have?
Number 5 is the winner for the second one.
We need a drum roll.
I know we're missing all kinds. We were hoping to play Kevin's music during this part of it, but it just didn't work out. So you guys will have to just get the CD instead.
All right, so Courtney, we need the name of whoever number 5 is, please, in the chat.
I'm sure she is
I'm
doing her
looking.
best right
She's
now.
trying.
Right?
Okay,
Oh, so it's an
I have
email.
an email.
Didn't give a
and I
name.
don't have a name. So zenspace530@aol.com. Zenspace530. You are the winner.
Woo!
Will you please write to me and let me know what address you would like this sent to, please. And again, we're going to put mypsychicsue@gmail.com down in the chat. Copy it down.
Yep, I got it in the chat.
Okay, very good. Our third winner number generation is who, Courtney? Drum roll. And number three.
Number 3.
So who is number 3, my friend? And the winner of our lovely image of Tini.
I'm so jealous of everybody.
Marshall Foxworthy. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You're a proud owner of a copy of your Telepathy 101 Instructor Tini.
And
So
if you don't pick it up in 48 hours, it goes to me by default. So shout to Sue.
So if I don't hear from you, it goes to somebody else. But Marshall, write to me at the Gmail address, please, and let me know where to send this. Okay, and I think it's time for Kevin to give away a CD. Courtney, generate one more number. 12.
12. That's a great.
Who's number 12?
All right. Na 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 na. Dun, 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 dun. Boom. There it is.
Firas Durad. Durad? I'm sorry, Firas, if we are not pronouncing your name correctly.
That's a great name.
It is a great name. I love that name. Would love to know the translation of Firas. It just feels right.
Oh, we should have had Kevin announce that. I'm sorry, but that's okay.
Oh, right. Pardon me.
We got so
Kevin,
excited,
announce it.
Kevin.
Firas Durade.
And Kevin, will you let Firas know how to contact you, please, so that you know where to send his CD or her CD?
Oh, yeah.
Here's the deal: is I will give Kevin Frost's contact email.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Well,
way,
they
because we collected everyone's email information, so this way it's like we can contact you and say, hey, you're the winner. Yada
Yeah,
yada.
Like,
If you
Yep.
don't want Kat to claim your prize in 48 hours, you need to answer Toot Sweet. Otherwise, we're gonna give it to Kat. That's what you say.
Well, I know we've kept you all very, very long and very past our 2-hour limit, and so glad to have you stay with us through all of this. This has been all kinds of fun. What else do we need to do to wrap things up, Kat, Lynda, and Courtney?
I heard you say earlier there was a special offer for everyone that
Thank you.
did that. So let's close with the special offer.
Good
All right,
call,
so
Lynda.
we have a bubble store where you can get merchandise with images of the Contactee on various things from t-shirts to mugs to magnets to prints to shower curtains. Okay. We are in the process of changing who we do t-shirts specifically through. The other merchandise, and you can get a t-shirt or will be able to continue to get a t-shirt through the Redbubble store for a while. But because we're shifting to a local, right-minded manufacturer and in the process of doing that, we're going to be providing future other links to another store specifically for t-shirts. In the meantime, we are going to discount t-shirts on our Redbubble official first contact store so that everybody can get one for 25% off.
Nice.
So I'm going to go in and change the price of those this evening. I would say wait until tomorrow morning before you actually order one. I'll have the prices changed by then. But anything that's a piece of clothing from the Redbubble official first contact store is going to be discounted 25%.
Perfect. And then also in addition to that, and this is Sue's call, but Sue's going to, if Sue would like to give an additional, do a reading for a certain discounted price off to everybody that signed up.
Yep.
As long as you signed up before we started doing the reading, you can offer, she will reach out to you because we're gonna give her your emails and she'll say, hey, this is the special offer. It lasts for this long. It's this much off on a reading because Sue's psychic, obviously. And that's one of the things she does for a living is she does readings for people and people have passed over, all that stuff. Obviously, she can talk to anybody, whoever she wants to. She's that good.
We can do a one-on-one telepathy personal teaching too instead of a reading. If you
Oh.
don't want to ask questions of a whole bunch of people and you just want to interact one-on-one with me or Otter and I, you can contact us and we'll do the same rates for a personal teaching session with telepathy with you versus a reading. So
That's the offer.
do that.
That's awesome.
Okay. My friends, we need to let you go.
I'm hungry.
Yep, I need to help fix this guy some supper and he needs to teach me how to fix another gourmet dish.
Oh,
So we are going to let you be. This has been fabulous. This has been wonderful. Mwah, to all of you. I so appreciate this. And we will see you on Twitter and Facebook with the 30-day challenge starting tomorrow morning.
perfect. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Otter. We love you so much.
All right. This has been wonderful. We will do more live stream work again. We'll talk to you all again and let's schedule some time to talk about Sasquatch soon.
You got it.
Ooh.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who participated and look forward to seeing where you want me to send some of these originals. All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Walk in beauty.
Bye.
Bye.
You ain't left
Bye.
yet.
All right.